day coverage begins now.
It's the mosaic.
So before gloves start popping,
diving, he makes the catch,
and bats start cracking,
it is gone.
We bring you the voice of Bay Area baseball for the past 29 years.
As I always say, baseball reflects what life is all about.
This is Talkin' Baseball with Marty Laurie.
That's what we do. We talk ball.
On KNBR, the sports leader.
And good morning, everyone, and welcome to Talkin' Baseball today on this Saturday as we're live at 58 Social. Boy, this is the last weekend of Giants baseball of 2024, and we're out here at 58 Social, and we'll be in the bunker tomorrow morning, 8 a.m. tomorrow morning for us in the bunker for the last show. All the games around baseball start at noon tomorrow. A lot of things still going on, but the Cardinals are in town, and the Giants played the Cardinals last night. The Giants have been playing great ball, not great ball at home for some reason. It's hard to believe. But the Cardinals win it last night, 6-3. The Cardinals were down 3-0. And, boy, the place was jumping. And I'll talk about the crowds in a little while. 35,101 last night. Russ Stanley was wearing a nice suit last night with a big smile. But the Giants got up 3-0. And usually in games like that, when they're up, and it's been that way on the road trip, they don't let it get away. You know, the middle relief does well, and the starters have done enough. But the Cardinals came back. The Cardinals are a good team. They are. And they're fast. They've got a great bullpen. They've got their new saves leader, career saves leader for a season in Helsley. He got his 49th save last night, broke Trevor Rosenthal's record. And the Cardinals came back and won the game 6-3 over the Giants. So the Giants are 7-4 in their last 11 games. I saw two of the games down in Arizona, and they played great. But they're 2-10, believe it or not, in their last 12 games at home, and 6-12 over 18 games at home. So that's a story as we get ready for baseball today. It's a gorgeous day in San Francisco, and we're joined by Sandra G. Sandra, good morning.
Good morning, Marty.
How are you?
I'm doing great. I'm excited, going to get some garlic fries, some crab sandwiches, and soak it all in. It's the last two games of the season.
All right, I'm waiting for my French fries here.
Yeah.
Carmen, don't shake your head. Carmen Q, my dear Carmen is here. How are you?
Hello, how are you doing?
You have a guest with you today.
Yes, her name is Ponzu. She's my dog, and it's dog days today at the park, which, it's always very lively at the ballpark the last season, or the last games of the season, but dog days takes it to another level. And Ponzu is going to be the play ball dog today, so I'm hoping she barks on command, but we'll see.
All right, so this is good. She's a beautiful dog. If she doesn't bark on command, can you?
Woof.
Good,
Woo.
okay.
Yeah, pretty
Well,
good.
you got to do it in a play ball, say.
No.
Oh, just a regular woof? That's
yeah,
it?
and Therese will be there to back us up, too, so, I think it'll be okay.
She can woof.
She can woof like no other.
Okay. All right, another day at the ballpark. It's Saturday. Danny helping us today, and Walter set everything up. Walter, thank you, and Anna's here as well as we get ready for Giants baseball. So, Matt Chapman, the big news last night, Matt Chapman gets the Willie Mack Award. And there were a number of Willie Mack Award winners here last night. Not a tremendous amount, but Chris Spire was here, Larry Herndon was here, Tiny Felder was here. Of course, Dave Dravecki was here.
JT Snow was out there, too.
JT was out there as well. JT may be on with us this morning.
That'd be great.
Tell him I'd give him a call and talk a little ball with him maybe about 10:30 today. But what did you think of Chapman getting the award, Carmen?
I mean, I think it was a natural fit. Obviously, he's been the headline maker, I think, for the whole season. So it makes sense. And I think the way that he's doubled down on being here it makes him a shoo-in. It makes him a fan favorite, but it's also good to know that he's another leader in the clubhouse because the Giants, I think, desperately need leadership from within the team to help guide them. Logan Webb has been the most obvious one, but it's good to know there's another guy on the team that can help sit at the helm.
Yeah. I thought it was a no-doubter for Matt Chapman, too. He's obviously, like Carmen said, he's been the standout in the clubhouse and on the field. And what a year for Matt Chapman. He becomes a proud papa. We got to see his wife and his little baby girl, Gia, up on the big screen last night, too. So congratulations all around for Matt Chapman.
Look, I've watched ball for a long time.
No way.
I can add up both of your birthdays, and I probably watched ball longer than that. But I'll tell you, as a third baseman, and I mean this, he's as good as anybody I've ever seen at third. I mean that. And it's not just catching everything, it's the throws. And that ball's hit to third, and you say, all right, is it going to be trouble? No, it's not. He comes up with it, and he throws a dart to first base. And he covers the ground, he plays deep. He's as good as anybody I have ever seen in my life. I mean that.
Yeah, and there was a ground ball from Nolan Arenado, who was his high school teammate at El Toro High School. They were teammates together, and it was hard to get imagine those two third basemen, so getting playing time with those between those two. But he plays so far back, he didn't even take a step forward, and he threw it. It was all arm, so just an incredible arm, and the way he plays that position so deep and is able to have that range is incredible.
Carmen, you said something interesting. That is being a leader, which he is, and he's very, not really softly spoken, but very clear when he says something. He's not Hunter. You know what I mean?
No, yeah.
He's not the Reverend.
I think there are leaders that are comfortable being leaders and leaders that don't feel comfortable with it, who just naturally have that talent. I think he's both, honestly. Like, he's very natural at it, but I think he wants that ownership, which is really nice to see someone take that under their wing, because, like I said, I think the Giants really need it. And you made a great point about him in the hot corner. You know, it's been a long time since there's been a steady presence there.
Yeah.
And it's really nice to look over there and know exactly what you're getting every night.
Yeah. Yeah, Posey was a little bit like that.
Exactly,
And
yeah.
I guess the point I'm making is you got to do it on the field. Mm-hmm. And the leader can't really be a pitcher, because the pitcher only comes out there every fifth day. And Logan Webb, as great as he is, you know, he's got to pitch every fifth day, and the other 4 days he's, eating pizza, having a good time, doing
Tony's
that.
Pizza.
But this guy is out there every day, and that's the difference for me. And he performs every day. So when he says something to you, you got to believe it, because he does it, and that's what I like about him. He hits the ball hard. 66 extra base hits for him, and that ties. Who was the first baseman the Giants had in 2014, the left-handed first baseman?
I actually don't know his name.
Good. Let me refresh your memory. Brandon Belt, Carmen's favorite player of all time.
Right after Pete Alonso. I'm just kidding.
That's all right.
I would never.
So he has 66 extra base hits, the first since Belt did it about 10 years ago.
But Belt was trash, right?
Belt had a career.
I'm just kidding. I don't think that. We got some fights.
Don't start the Belt wars. Do not do that. If you're watching us on Twitch or YouTube, what else we got? What are the other things?
The KNBR stream.
KNBR stream. We're live at 58 Social. Carmen Q is here with Sandra G. Maria Guardado is going to be here in a little bit. We'll talk a little bit about what the Giants can expect over the offseason coming up. There's a lot of buzz around the ballpark. Let's face it. Last year it was Gabe Kapler. At this time of the season last year, it was leaked out, remember, on Thursday night, and by Friday, Gabe Kapler was out of here. And now the next step on the ladder is Farhan. And there's been a lot of speculation. Look, heck, Barry Tompkins. You see what he wrote this week in the Marin IJ? He wrote just a real amazing article, just, saying the Giants need something, and, they've got to shore it up and get some excitement. And of course Barry is connected to the Giants as well, so that was telling for me. Scott Osler has said things, and sort of the rumblings in the water about Farhan. So we'll see what happens. I don't know what's going to happen. I really don't. I could predict it and say, but the buzz around the ballpark is a little bit of what's going to happen here over the next few days.
It's crazy, because I think the Giants went from a really long era of romance. You knew exactly the front office, the manager, the product on the field. You knew what you were getting day in, day out. And I think in the last couple of years, fans are getting a little bit shell-shocked, because that is not the case anymore. If you don't perform, they make business decisions. And I think that's new. I think that's honestly a good thing in the way that teams should be run, honestly, just like businesses are run. But it is a very difficult thing when you become attached to people, or when you think about what they've done and potentially think, is this fair? I think there's just a lot of questions about what Farhan deserves, what he will do next. I think there's a lot of question marks.
Well, it's a sport that you are judged by your record, and that's very important. And he's had one season, the magic of 2021 with Belt and Crawford and Posey having the great years, and Gosman and all that kind of stuff. And it all came together for Kapler and the way they managed. But other than that, it's been a long road. And each year he says, now I understand what I have to do. And saying this year he needs more stability and, the meat of the lineup and all that. But it has been 6 years. And Carmen, you bring up a good point, and that is the fans need a little love, I think. But I want to say this. 35,000 out here last night. I'm sure there'll be a big crowd today. Now, there's a 49er game tomorrow, but it is the last game. I don't know what the crowd will be tomorrow. But fans come out. They love this ballpark. They love this team. There is something about the Giants that bring the fans out. So we are critical of saying maybe they need better players, maybe they have to do it this way or that way. But from the business standpoint, they actually are probably doing pretty well this year.
I mean, I think they've made some big adjustments in terms of their marketing. For example, I think usually they do one day of fan appreciation. They're doing a whole weekend because I don't think they're under any false sense of hope that the product on the field is what's bringing people out. Maybe it is for some people, but some people come to have a fantastic experience at the park, and that's what they're looking to give the fan base, and the fan base deserves that. So I think when you can't put out a postseason team, you have to find other reasons to get people to the park, and I think the Giants organization has done quite a good job with that.
Yeah, and I was watching the broadcast last night on TV, and they had the wire cam that was going around, if anybody saw it, but there was just these beautiful images of the ballpark that from vantage points that you don't typically see. And I walked in this morning through the Mission Rock and seeing the new Tony Stone statue that was up there, and just that whole development, and the construction's kind of settled down now, and it's just so gorgeous. We are so fortunate to have this beautiful ballpark here.
And it brings people out. And Sandra referred to the Tony Stone statue, which I just heard this week was put up. Of course, she was played in the Negro Leagues. She was a second baseman. And I have a beautiful picture of her in my room at home, in my office at home, that I got when I went to the All-Star game in Pittsburgh years ago.
You did some voiceover work, right, for the museum?
Well, yeah, for the Negro League Museum. Yeah. That was on Lester Rodney, about, the integration of baseball. But Tony Stone was, played. She was a second baseman.
Yeah.
And she was from the area here. The Giants recognized her way back. But now that she has a statue here, and I think it's fabulous. So,
Tony Stone and Maya Angelou crossing over in the Mission Rock
very
development.
nice. I heard about that this week. Shayna Daum, I think, was telling me about it this week. One other thing I want to say about the attendance. When you have a ball club that, hi Maria, Maria's going to join us in a minute. When you have a ball club that wins 79 games, which they have, maybe they'll win 80, maybe they'll win 81. Who knows what's going to happen here the next 2 days. It's a competitive ball club. There's a big difference in winning 81 games and winning 71 games. When you win 81 games, it means you can win or you can lose. You're good enough to win, but you have to be consistent, and when you're not consistent, you lose. And that's the ball club. But there are endearing parts of the ball club because they're good enough to get to 500. It's not easy to get to 500. Look at the teams that are not at 500. So it's not easy to get there. And when you get there, as close as they are, you're at least putting a product on the field that, hey, there's Tyler Fitzgerald, there's Bailey, there's Grant McCray, there's Chapman. There are things happening. There's Logan Webb. So people could get behind it because they're not that bad. They're annoying. They'll just do enough to win, or they'll do just enough to lose.
Or they win when it doesn't matter is what I've heard a lot lately, which is, a trope that happens a lot when the pressure's off a team. I will say that, this kind of 50-50, are they good, are they bad, it can't last forever because when you're like that, you may retain fans that already love you and you're already endeared to, but you're not going to gain new fans to baseball, which is, I know, a big kind of focus for the MLB. They want new fans, and it's really hard to get new fans when the product on the field is not, exciting for them. So I think, like, you know, it's fine for retention right now, but they really need to focus on 2025 and beyond to make this team competitive.
Yeah, and we'll talk to Maria Guardado about it. She covers the Giants for MLB.com after the break. I'll ask you guys this, and Maria, I'll ask you this when you're on. How do you explain the bump in attendance? Look, they're 79 and 81 right now. They've got to win 2 to get to 500. How do you explain it?
The attendance?
Yeah.
The marketing.
They've done great.
I honestly think it's the marketing. Marketing works when you put dollars and effort behind something.
Okay.
It really does help. I'm saying that because I'm a marketer and I believe in it, you know? So, like I said, the Giants organization, they've made a very solid effort from the top down to make things interesting for the fans and have them have an experience, win or loss. You know, the light show, the fireworks, the drones, everything that they're doing, the giveaways, they draw in fans. So, you know, I don't know what the numbers look like from television standpoint in terms of ratings, but I have a feeling proportionally the attendance is better because of what's happening in and around the ballpark.
All right, good answer.
Yeah.
Thank you, sir.
You're welcome. And of course, our ratings are sky high.
Yes, everybody's
tuning in. Of
tuning
course,
in
everyone
right now.
loves us. We are, well, we'll talk about YouTube in a minute, but all right, go ahead, Sandra.
Yeah, I think piggybacking off that, you know, the last time we were here together on the patio, it was the 49ers Day here at the ballpark. There's always some special event going on, and that really brings the crowds in. And there's something more to see, too, besides the baseball, and when you're not really kind of guaranteeing.
Yeah, no, good
it.
answer. No, seriously, because I'm thinking, you know, they did have the great bump in attendance. The team is somewhat exciting, you know. They do have players that, you know, you want to, Ramos and people that you like, Yastrzemski. There are some heroes here. But they still are 79 and 81, and there's not, you don't see the fans walk around the ballpark saying, hey, we hate this. It's not like that. It's really different. So that's a good question. All right, let's take a break. We'll be back, 58 Social here live, and we'll be back with Maria Guardado, our favorite guest here out at the patio, right after this.
Talking baseball with Marty Lurie on KNBR 104.5 and 680, the sports leader.
Experience the epitome of luxury and craftsmanship with Inicio Windows and Doors, another exciting product line from BMD Manufacturing. Inicio Windows and Doors sets the standard in ultra-premium European design. Wow. For the most demanding American building standards. Available both in steel and aluminum, they are meticulously engineered to elevate your living space to new heights of sophistication. Learn more about Inicio Windows and Doors today. Discover the perfect blend of European beauty and style with unwavering durability and strength. Visit InicioWindows.com. INICIO Windows.com. Inicio Windows and Doors, where European design meets American craftsmanship. Fans, Bridge Bank delivers their clients full relationship banking, including treasury management solutions and global market services. Bridge Bank offers financing solutions to businesses for their working capital, equipment, and real estate needs. This is very important in today's world. Fred Voss is the Senior Managing Director of Bridge Bank's commercial lending efforts in Northern California. He has commercial banking teams in San Jose with Jesse Garcia, San Francisco, Oakland, Cheadle, Cordova, and in Pleasanton. Bridge Bank, it's like banking at home. I can't say enough about it.
Giants fans, there's no better way to set the game day table than talking baseball with Marty Laurie. Marty keeps rolling on KNBR, the sports leader.
All right, great to have you back with us as we get ready for Game 2 between the Giants and the Cardinals. This is it, the last Saturday at the ballpark. And, of course, we have the game tomorrow. And then the long off-season starts. But with baseball today, it's 12 months a year, 24/7. And I know things are going to be popping around here next week, one way or another. Something's going to be cooking next week. Maria Guardado joins us. She covers the Giants all year long for MLB.com. Maria, how are you?
I'm good. How are you, Marty?
Good. How's the year been for you and all the travel and all that?
It's been long. It's hard to believe that, however many months ago we were in San Diego and Los Angeles kicking things off. The season really does fly by in a lot of ways. Lots of ups and downs, some, travel headaches here and there. But, overall, it's been interesting to watch another season of Giants baseball unfold.
Well, you have been Rookie of the Year with us before.
Am I still rookie eligible? I mean, I've been around.
You're rookie. You have been Rookie of the Year.
Yeah.
Yes. So I think this year, Shayna.
Okay, yeah, that makes sense. Yeah.
Shayna Rubin will be Rookie of the Year. But you join an illustrious group of Alex Pavlovich and Andy Baggerly and, people like that.
That's good company to be in, I guess.
Rookie of the Year. Maria is a former Rookie of the Year. It's like a Willie Mack Award winner.
Wow,
you get to come back and we'll celebrate Shayna later today with some piece of apple pie or something like that. But
great, can't wait.
All right. Last night, Matt Chapman, that was pretty cool, wasn't it?
Yeah, I think that what was extra sweet was when his wife, I think that was a surprise for him. They sent like a video message and she was cradling the baby in her arms. And I think it was also cool for him to have his parents here. I think they went out and did the lineup card exchange before the game. So, I think we could have all predicted basically that he was going to be the Willie Mack winner like 2 months ago. So, obviously, very well deserved. There's a reason why the Giants kind of rewarded him with that big contract extension and kind of made him, a centerpiece of this roster moving forward. So I think that, no one was really surprised, and it was kind of nice to see him have another, feather in the cap in what's been a remarkable month for him between the contract extension and the baby. So, yeah, cool for him.
Yeah, so Maria, who else besides Matt Chapman's really standing out for you from the Giants this year? It's been a rough season overall. They're hopefully going to reach 500 with today and tomorrow's game. But any other standouts that you think had a really great season?
Yeah, I think the two other guys who come to mind are probably Elliot Ramos and Tyler Fitzgerald. They're two guys who, were really established themselves as everyday players this year. And I think that's a really big accomplishment for them, especially for Elliot, he was buried on the outfield depth chart at the beginning of the year, we weren't really sure we were going to get out of him, and then obviously they had that rash of injuries in the outfield in May that opened the door for him to get a look, and he never looked back. I mean, he was an all-star. He really kind of seized that the opportunity that the Giants finally gave him. So he's obviously going to be one of the starting pieces in the outfield going forward next year. We'll see how much better he can get. He's always kind of looking to get better. So I know he wasn't entirely satisfied with how the second half went, so I think he's going to be motivated to keep working to be more consistent and everything like that. I think he might even play winter ball in Puerto Rico.
Oh, cool.
So I know it's really important for him to kind of be able to go back home and play in front of his family. So I think that getting those additional reps might allow him to come into spring training even better and even sharper and in better shape. So looking forward to seeing what he can continue to do in the future. And then Tyler Fitzgerald. Obviously the Giants kind of needed some stability at shortstop after the Brandon Crawford era came to an end. They kind of had to cycle through a couple guys to get to Tyler Fitzgerald, but I think for the most part he's delivered a lot of promising things there. So we'll see if that he ends up being the shortstop long term, because I think there's a chance that the Giants end up adding from someone from the outside, maybe moving him to second base. But I think he showed a lot of really positive things just with his power and his speed. So I think he's another guy who's just going to keep developing and keep getting better, as he gets more experience under his belt.
Maria, of course, I saw you in Arizona this week with the other beat writers, with Andy was there and Shayna and Alex. And you guys had a chance to talk to Farhan privately in the alcove. I wasn't admitted. They kept me out of it. It was only the beat writers, which was cool. But I'm anxious to get your thoughts about Farhan and what he said about the ball club and what you think about his future. That was pretty telling, I thought, the conversation you people had with him.
Yeah, we talked to him on Tuesday, I believe, at Arizona, and obviously the first question is kind of, what do you know? Have they told you, what your status will be heading into next season? And he said no, basically. I don't think that the Giants had made a decision, at least not. They haven't said anything publicly about his future yet. So he's obviously under contract for next year, but I think it's pretty obvious that he's on the hot seat here a little bit, just given the fact that the Giants have only, one playoff appearance, one winning record in his 6 seasons here. And they obviously spent big to kind of upgrade the roster this year and still weren't able to kind of get over that hump and get into the playoffs. So there are definitely a lot of questions swirling about his future and whether it's time to make a change. So I think that we'll probably know that answer soon, shortly after the season ends. So it's obviously kind of a really big franchise-altering decision. So, it's probably not one they're going to make lightly, but, it's obviously something that's going to have to be considered after, a lot of disappointing years.
Well, Carmen said something interesting about marketing. I know you heard it when you came up here, how the club is marketed really well. If there is a change with Farhan, if that's the case, you can't bring in Jose Espada, you know what I mean, from Houston. You can't bring in the farm director from Houston or the director of player personnel from the Marlins or Tampa Bay. Cannot do it in this market with this team showing how they've done things this year. It could be an icon. Who knows who could come back? And that's, to me, if Farhan is let go, which is a possibility, the answer is going to be someone that's going to you're going to go, wow, really? He's back? And it'll be something like that. That's how I feel about it.
Are you alluding to Buster Posey?
Who knows? It could be, who knows? It could be Brian Sabian. It could be Ned Colletti. I mean, it could be someone who's been here before. They're not going to let Farhan go and bring in someone who we have to say, who did what? Oh, really? He built a farm system in Mobile, Alabama? Terrific. No, it's not. You can't do that in this. So that's the exciting part for me. That if Farhan does go, and look, the guy's had 6 years. I know him personally. He's worked himself to his illness. How hard he's worked here. But baseball is a game of records and how you're doing. So that's my answer to it. If something is going to happen, get ready.
Yeah, one thing I will say is that it has kind of been interesting to see, obviously there was a moment where there was a lot of analytically driven executives who were kind of rising in front offices, obviously, but I wonder now if there's going to be kind of a trend towards going more towards former players.
Yeah.
Like, for example, in Boston, obviously they made the change with Chaim Bloom, and they ended up bringing in Craig Breslow to replace him.
Uh-huh.
So, I think the amount of former players who are leading front offices has kind of dropped, but I could see it kind of going back up now, maybe, as a counter to some of the other trends.
It's going to happen.
Rising. Yeah.
How about Hunter Pence?
I don't know that he's ready. He's been in the booth, But, I think whoever they bring in, let's give him a shot, whatever.
Yeah, but Posey is, look, he's very well connected in the community. He's got all the kids, and he sort of took a back seat because of that, and his family and all that. But, he's a smart man. And maybe he has that desire to do this. Who knows?
I would be shocked if he actually wanted to do that job, but you never know. I guess you can't rule it out.
No, you can't. But if something happens, my prediction is it's going to be a big deal.
Yeah, I think that's inevitable.
Yeah, the Giants need a splash. We need a splash. We need to make the playoffs, and we need somebody that we have trust that can take us there. That's my thoughts.
What do you think about the season? 79 and 81 right now. As I say, it's not terrible. It's not great. It's just enough that, hey, we can win today or we could lose today.
Yeah, I mean, I think that and the thing is with the Giants is that's kind of how they've been like under the Zaidi regime. They obviously had the 107 win season in 2021, but outside of that, they've just kind of been middling. I think that one thing to look to this year was just that the fact that they kind of really expected their pitching to dominate, and they had a lot of confidence in their rotation and their pitching depth going into the season, and it didn't really end up working out that way. Obviously in the first half there were a lot of injuries. Robbie Ray, Alex Cobb weren't available in the first half. Blake Snell got injured after he signed late. And they really kind of struggled to get the rotation going. They had Logan Webb, Kyle Harrison, Jordan Hicks, but aside from that, they were really kind of having to piece it together, and it really ended up taking a toll on the bullpen. I think that was one of the reasons why they didn't win more than five in a row, and even that winning streak came, after they were eliminated last week. So I think that, going forward, one of the things that they're, going to want to look for is to have a little bit more consistency in that rotation. So it'll be interesting to see what they do with Blake Snell, whether they make a really big effort to retain him, or whether they end up letting him walk, just like they did with Carlos Rodon and Kevin Gausman. So I think that's one area where they're definitely going to need to make some strides going forward.
How about Bryce Eldridge? Everyone's excited. Mark, we're talking marketing. Here's a kid a year out of high school. He went through every level of the Giants minor league system. I'll see him next week down in Arizona when the fall league starts. How about that excitement around him?
Absolutely. I mean, the Giants obviously have been kind of dying for a superstar, and I think that Eldridge might be the guy, and the fact that he's coming from within is I think really exciting. As you mentioned, he's going to go to the fall league, which is going to cap just an absolutely monster season for him. That saw him, I think he climbed 4 levels. He ended up at AAA Sacramento.
Yeah.
And I think the bat looks legit from what we know, and the Giants haven't had a 30 home run hitter since 2004, so they're always kind of dying for that middle of the order bat that this lineup always seems to be lacking. So he could definitely be that guy. I think that he still has some work to do on his defense, just because he wasn't. I mean, he wasn't an everyday position player in high school. He was a pitcher. He was getting some at bats at DH. So I think that his defense is probably behind his hitting at this point. So, but I know the Giants are going to send Will Clark, I believe, out to the fall league to work with him at first base.
Okay.
So I think that they're hoping that he's going to be able to get a little bit more comfortable there. And, I absolutely wouldn't be surprised if he's here next year as a 20-year-old. So, definitely.
Well, that's baseball today, right? Jackson Churio, Merrill, all the Jacksons. Jackson Holly. If your name is Jackson, you're here. That's baseball today.
Yeah, and I think the key there, what you said, Maria, too, is every day first baseman. And I think that's something that the Giants should look forward to for next season, is having these guys that are going to be there every day. They're going to get the reps. They know they're going to be in the lineup. And sometimes you have highs and sometimes you have lows, but really being able to push through those and be able to compete.
Yeah, it's called the meat of the order.
Yeah.
You need some meat of the order guys, 3-4 guys, and then Chapman is around them, and Bailey hit 6th or 7th, and then it works like that. So what does it do for Wade here, knowing Eldridge is in the wings? It doesn't matter what he does in the fall league. Who cares? It's a fall league. But does that bring Wade back, or does that bring Rhys Hoskins here, who hit another grand slam from Milwaukee last night?
Well, I don't think Hoskins will necessarily be available, just because he might end up opting into his deal with the Brewers. I know that it wasn't a huge season for him, but yeah, I mean, it's an interesting question, just because we obviously know Wade's capabilities, and his on-base percentage is tremendous, but I mean, his power numbers really dipped this year, and I think that's one of the reasons the Giants just didn't get a ton of power out of first base. So yeah, I think that it'll be an interesting call. I think he'll be entering his final season of arbitration, and I don't think the cost to retain him would be too big. So there could be some value in just keeping him around, just because he might be a good way to kind of bridge that gap to Eldridge. Another question is whether they bring back Wilmer Flores, who obviously has a player option, and he obviously is coming off kind of the worst season of his career, could never kind of get off.
There's no reason to. There isn't.
Yeah, so
come on.
So some decisions for the Giants to make there.
Yeah.
If they do look in free agency, I mean, I don't think that they're probably not going to be in the market for Pete Alonso, just because they want to leave that path open for Eldridge. But maybe they get another stopgap option, someone like Carlos Santana or Paul Goldschmidt, someone like that who can start the season at first base and then maybe transition to DH once
Yep.
Eldridge is ready or something
Yep.
like that. So I
Christian
think-
Walker.
Exactly.
Another
Yeah.
one.
So those are some of the possibilities the Giants
All
will
right.
have to look at.
Good stuff. Good stuff. Well, Maria, thank you so much for coming out. It's a pleasure having you out here all year long, and I know the fans enjoy it, so thank you.
Of course. Thanks for having me, Marty.
Absolutely.
Yeah, thanks, Maria.
All right, that's Maria Guardado, MLB. Yeah, give her a hand. Very good. Maria's been solid all year long. All right, more coming up. Mark Simon of Sports Info Solutions next, right here on the Sports Leader.
Talking baseball with Marty Laurie on KNBR 104.5 and 680, the Sports Leader.
Gene Bogado checked in from the Tides up in Bodega Bay, and he said that with fall just around the corner, they're expecting some of the best weather of the year. Down at the Tides Wharf, there's something for everyone, from a great waterside restaurant serving the freshest seafood available to a fish market offering a wide selection of delicacies to take home, as well as a gift shop stocked with a fantastic variety of gifts, souvenirs, and clothing items. How about that? And just across Highway 1, there's the Inn at the Tides with its incredible bay views and the recently reopened Bayview Dining Room and its incredible menu that provide guests with a unique dining experience. Wow. So if you're looking to get away this fall for just a day or perhaps a little longer, remember the Tides Wharf and the Inn at the Tides in scenic Bodega Bay. Fans, Priest Ranch Wines has a great offer happening. They offer 2-bottle, 3-bottle, or 6-bottle gift sets for the wine lover on everyone's list. Whether it's for a birthday, corporate gift, or a holiday celebration, Priest Ranch has the perfect gift. Now, for a limited time, you can use the code MARTY, M-A-R-T-Y, for 10% off of all the gift sets through the end of October. So go to priestranchwines.com to explore this offer. It's absolutely terrific.
Mark Simon. Mark, I love you, man.
And Mark, he's got a big team of folks now who help him put all that stuff together. Anyway, we really appreciate all their hard work all year long.
Oh, no! Wow, I didn't know you have all that. You have a team now, Mark Simon?
We do, yeah. We have a good number of helpers that have assisted us all season, putting together notes for Dave and John and Kruk and Kipe and the broadcast. And they've done a great job.
Oh, I'm glad to have you. Well, this is your last appearance with us this year, and thank you so much for being on. And we'll start with the Mets. How do you feel?
I'm not worried. I'm not particularly concerned at this point. They got 4 shots at it, right? 4 shots at it. I think they're going to win at least one. I think Arizona is going to be the team that's going to fall out of this. And I don't have any particular concerns other than, I guess, the health of the catcher, Francisco Alvarez. You can't throw anybody out anyway, and the Brewers just run wild.
6 last night.
Yeah, you're seeing a good preview of what the NLDS will be like if it's Mets Brewers, because the Brewers are going to try and run all over them.
All right, beautiful. Well, we love having you on. Let's talk. I know you've got commitments this morning. Let's talk about the Giants hitting, because that's the issue that's going to have to be dealt with over this winter. How do you see it?
So Grant Brisbee wrote essentially the article that I would have loved to have
I saw that. That was good.
Where he said 2 things that I think were important. 1, they had good hitters. It wasn't like they didn't have good hitters. 2, they didn't have a great hitter. They don't have a Judge. They don't have a Soto. They don't have a megastar. They have Fitzgerald. They have Ramos, but they don't have the superstar player. And then there's the other component of it was none of them all got hot at the same time. It's like one guy would get hot, one guy would be cold. They never had a lineup of really hot hitters, and I think that hurt them over the course of the season. And one thing he left out, they were very station to station, first to second on hits, and it was it's very challenging if you're going to strike out a lot to be a station to station team that's not advancing runners. The offense individually achieved at a decent rate, but it underachieved as a group.
What do you think, Sandra?
Hey, Mark, it's Sandra. Good to have you on. Pitching-wise, who were kind of the standout relievers, would you say, for the Giants? We just had Randy Rodriguez come back, so he missed a chunk, but he stood out to me. What are your thoughts on bullpen standouts for the Giants?
Yeah, they had a few, clearly. I mean, Ryan Walker's numbers speak for themselves. I don't have to tell you that Ryan Walker's good off of a 1 and change ERA, and guys that pitch 75 innings in relief don't grow on trees. The bullpen was good enough in some spots. Like Rodriguez was decent. Tyler Rogers was pretty good. Taylor Rogers was pretty good. Jelly was better than he was last year. Dotel not being what he was obviously hurt considerably, and that's going to happen. I wouldn't necessarily blame the bullpen for the way that the season went. I don't know that I would necessarily say it helped a lot. But I would give it kind of like that B- C grade that I would give a lot of things with the Giants this year.
Yeah, it was acceptable. You could win. Like I said about the ball club, they could win any night or they could lose any night. And that's the true essence of who they were. They've got enough players. I think the Grant Brisbee article in The Athletic was excellent about that.
Yeah.
A lot of good hitters, but no great hitters, and that was the difference in the team. Who's the team MVP for you? Is it clear? Is it Chapman?
I don't think it's close. I think Chapman was by far the best guy. Third baseman that play 150 that can hit, field, and run, don't grow on trees. He was a unicorn player this year. He was basically a 1 of 1 at the position. Devers and Ramirez, great hitters. They don't field like he does. There were other third basemen. They didn't run like he did. He was terrific, particularly as the season went on. The Willie Mack Award, I think that was an easy choice, and he's definitely their MVP this year.
Got to watch the Cardinals last night. Boy, they can move. They can move around the bases, I'll tell you that. The Giants, Giants need that.
Can't.
Right?
Well, the Giants have Grant McCray and Tyler Fitzgerald, who are 2 of the fastest players in baseball, and they have Chapman, who's a great base runner. But other than that, it's a lot of no offense to them, but it's a lot of slow slugs, and they need to fix that. They need to be a more exciting, more interesting team next year, I think. Jung-Hoo Lee ideally would help in that regard, but that's something that they need to fix.
You know, I'm wondering, too, for free agents-wise, is there any speed that the Giants could potentially add to the team next season?
You know, that's funny that you said that because I wrote down 4 free agent player names. Willie Adames, Pete Alonso, Anthony Santander, Christian Walker. They're all slow.
Carmen's ears just perked up. You said Pete Alonso.
Yeah, but they're the thing that you just asked about. All four of those guys, they're all slow. They're not fast guys at all.
I know.
So I think you're fixing that probably from within by adding Lee, by playing Fitzgerald, by playing McRae. I don't know that there's going to be necessarily a great outside solution unless they make a trade.
Well, Adames is a big pickup if that happens at short.
Sure.
I'm not sure they'll go that way. I know that like Kim of San Diego, if he's healthy, Kim's a possibility. Walker, for me, is a possibility at first, even with the kid coming up. But here's the one that I got this morning, was Max Fried.
Yes.
Corbin Burns is terrific, but, he's sort of on the downside a little bit. Flaherty, you don't know with his back. Max Fried's pretty good. And put Max Fried in this ballpark, pay him, get Max Fried. Max Fried would be a great addition to this team.
He would, and if I'm not mistaken, he's a California kid. The one thing that you would need behind him is you need a good defense because he doesn't strike guys out like Burns does. He doesn't strike guys out like some of the other guys that you mentioned does. But he's consistent. Like every year, it's the same numbers, low 3 ERAs, pitches a good number of innings. That's the guy that you would certainly like for sure.
Let's see. For what are we thinking about fielding now, Mark? For fielding wise, you're talking about ground balls. If we do get Fried, who are some guys that might be able to help the Giants defensively with fielding?
Oh boy, I don't. So Adames would be an answer on that if you took the Adames in 2022 and 2023. For whatever reason, this year he had this dreadful 2-month stretch where he made mistakes all over the place that I really can't explain. He would probably be your most optimal solution if you wanted to fix shortstop defensively, which I think is probably the priority fix. Other than because you're going to put Lee in center field next year, so that would be I think the optimal choice. They were a strange defensive team this year. The catcher was great. The third baseman was fantastic.
Yeah.
The rest of the team not so. And Yaz was pretty good. The rest of the team.
Yeah, I'm with you on that. Okay, just okay. Boy, great having you on. I know you got to run. We appreciate all year long. You've been terrific. I have a YouTube channel now at Baseball Marty Lurie. I'm looking forward to having you on there as we talk baseball over the winter. So, Mark, I can't thank you enough for being part of it. Mark A. Simon says on Twitter. Mark, thanks so much.
You got it. Thanks, Marty. Thanks, Sandra.
See you, Mark.
All right, be well. Boy, he does a great job. Doesn't he?
Oh, yeah. He's got all the statistics, which is so great. And if you're listening to the broadcast, like you said, Kruk and Kipe, they always bring up some of the stuff that Mark's plugging away at.
He is just a hopeless Mets fan. That's the problem with him. He's a hopeless. That's right.
I think
Thank you,
hopeless
Raph.
is implied when you say Mets fan. I don't think it's like doubling down. You don't need to say hopeless.
He's not the only
one. You heard
one.
what he said. Oh, they'll be fine. They just win one game.
Listen, you gotta love a Mets fan. They are the most loyal / least loyal fans I've ever met, simultaneously. It's the best.
They better win a game, I'll tell you that. You don't want to have to get into Atlanta and win a couple or something like that.
We'll see.
So we'll see that. How about how crazy it was this week with the Hurricane Helene and the most important series of the year gets rained out, and now they've got to play a doubleheader Monday, which probably will be played. The Mets at Atlanta, which will determine whether Arizona's probably not getting in. I agree with him on that because Arizona, one more loss, and I think that'll be it for them. And they've got San Diego for 2, but San Diego's wrapped up the 4 spot, so they're going to be pitching wise, just pacing themselves. But Arizona better win a game here. They've got 2 more games that they got to play against San Diego. And then we'll see what happens with the Met thing, but the Met-Atlanta thing could be important for seeding. And I think the Braves lead 6-5, I think, in the season series. So the Mets would have to win 2 to win the season series if they tie.
Well, this is the fun time of year where you're just scoreboard watching and making sure. And it's fun for, I bet, the players, too, in a weird way, where you're like, what's going to happen?
I know. And the whole thing, when we get down to that game, then tell me what the tiebreaker is. Otherwise, my head is spinning. I don't know what's going on. And but I do know this Philly and the Dodgers, they've got that. The Dodgers probably are going to wrap that up, the top seed. They've got a magic number of 1 to do that. The Yankees and Cleveland, we've got that. How about the Tigers? How about that? Are you a Tiger fan, Carmen?
I'm more of a cat person.
I was going to say that. All right. More the feline type. All right. Well, the Tigers are quite a story. I think they've won like 10 of 11, and they're in. Come on, they're in. And they have a pitcher, Skubal, who will win the Cy Young Award, and everything else. You want to talk about openers? They do an opener every day, and they're in. And they are actually in. They're going to be in the 5 spot, and they're going to play the Orioles.
You said just get in, and then anything can happen in October. So
Yeah.
it doesn't mean that just because you're the best record in the season that you'll end up taking everything home. Baseball's just not that simple. There's a lot of game ahead, and although the season is wrapping for the Giants, if you love baseball, you want to see this close competition.
Yeah, absolutely. I think that's the most fun thing, especially too. Sometimes watching when your heart's not really in it, just watching the good game is
it'll bring you
fun.
back to life.
It's fun. All right, look, there's a lot of stuff going on, and the playoffs are going to be amazing. If you ask me who's going to win, I really can't make an intelligent prediction. Well, I can make an intelligent prediction.
That's just baseball, Marty. That's baseball.
I don't know if it'll be correct. I don't know. Phillies, Dodgers are starting to play better now. San Diego's on fire. I mean, they played great.
I mean, if you're looking at odds, it's hard for, like I said, it's really hard for baseball because I feel like rarely does the best team actually take everything home. Or at least that's how I feel when I'm watching things. You could arguably say the Dodgers have been the best team many years in a row, and they've only won one fake World Series. So
asterisk
World Series. So, not throwing shade, but it is what it is.
Please do.
You can throw shade, Carmen.
Please
it's okay.
do.
This
It's
is
okay.
Giants Radio.
Even Joe Lee is smiling for that. See? Even Joe Lee smiled for that. All right, Joe. Jim, nice to see you today as well. All right. Jason is here today, and we saw Jason. He brought my bobblehead, guys. How about that?
It's vintage now, isn't it?
Yeah, I think so. And he got it on eBay, Jason? No? Where did you get it? Huh?
It's his daughter's, yeah.
Oh, it is. Okay. I thought you had. Oh, so I got scared there for a second. I thought you had
Picked it up at the Goodwill.
Thank you, Carmen.
You're welcome.
Do you remember the bobblehead night?
Yes, it was out by Seals Plaza. Yes,
That's right.
Yeah, and I mean, I remember you. That was the year you were going hard for 40,000 everything, right?
That's right.
You're a man of the people and always have been.
I'm a marketer.
No, you're not. You're literally not.
I'm a marketer. And so we had the bobblehead night. Russ Stanley and Fahan created that for me, and Mario Alioto. And we had a panel discussion out at Seals Plaza with Woe,
Yep.
Orlando Cepeda,
Wow. Yeah.
Eddie Montague, Larry Bear, and me.
The Marty Lurie fan club.
How about
in theory.
that? And
Yeah.
Billy Ferrer. We haven't seen Billy Ferrer. Where is she?
Yeah, I wonder if she's disbanded.
No,
Have you done
the
something?
Marty
Are you
Lurie
canceled?
the Marty Lurie fan club is still in existence.
Okay, all right. I haven't seen any
cents.
pins
25
lately.
cents. They're vintage.
I mean, you don't send out any newsletters, nothing.
Look on eBay, would you please?
Okay, all right.
All right. It's it's our last weekend. We're glad to be out here. It's been a great year, and Walter does a great job. He's done a great job all year long helping us here, but plus the show he's done, my God. The Giants warm-up, he's really put in a lot of time to make that thing happen. So, Walter, we're glad to see you here. I want to get you on this morning, too, to talk a little bit with you. But, all right, we'll take a break. One of our favorites, she is here live and in person, and that is Katie Wu, who covers the Cardinals for The Athletic, and she is a star. So, Katie Wu next, right here on The Sports Leader.
Talking baseball with Marty Lurie on KNBR 104.5 and 680, The Sports Leader.
It's been a pleasure working with Rick Robin this year. Rick Robin, ROBBEN, NapaConstruction.com. Rick, the last time you were on with us, you told us about kitchen and bath remodeling, but there's a lot more going on up in your area.
Yes, there is. ADUs, auxiliary dwelling units, which are nose dwelling units. We can do your existing garage, attached garage, even building a new unit in the back. And so what we do is come out, bring our architect out there. Such a great thing. No sewer hookup fees, no water hookup fees. So that's what we do.
Rick, how does one start the process with you? How does one get in touch with you?
Oh, you call Tammy, 707-332-7575, 7 days a week.
Rick Robin, ConstructionNapa.com. Rick, the thing I like about this, no problem for me. You come out with the plans, the permits, everything is in-house, no fees, and you get a new unit that you can rent out and get money back on your investment right away. I like it, Rick.
Thanks, Marty. Love talking to you.
Rick Robin, ConstructionNapa.com. Everyone likes a party, but everyone loves a party at Original Joe's. With 3 private dining rooms, it's the perfect spot to hold your next big event. From christenings to corporate gatherings, we'll make your next party San Francisco special. Original Joe's, see you at the counter.
Prepping you for today's orange and black ball game, we now take you back to Talking Baseball with Marty Laurie on KNBR, the sports leader.
All right, great to have you back with us here at 58 Social. Nice to see everybody this morning. It's a beautiful day for baseball. We've got 2 more games, of course. Good morning. How are you? There's my favorite person.
Yeah.
Right? All right.
It's great being out here at 58 Social.
Yep, she knows we're getting hungry. This is good.
Marty's ready for French fries.
French fries. All right. All right. Well, Katie Wu joins us, and Katie has been a regular all year long. She covers the Cardinals for the Athletic. She is a star, and we have her live this morning out here on the patio. Katie, how are you?
Marty, this is great. I can't tell you how many times I walk past the patio and listen to your show. So to be able to be here and the season in San Francisco is always great. Very nice to see both of you.
So let's talk Cardinals a little bit. Not bad. They ran the bases pretty well. That bullpen is outstanding. Helsley set the record for saves, the team record. We just went through the Giants season. How do you assess the Cardinals season?
Well, it was definitely better than last year's 91-loss season, but low bar, Marty. You know, they're going to finish over 500 this year, and I think when you look at it from a big picture approach, if you can make up, 10, maybe 15 wins in one season, you take that as a positive. But the Cardinals have set their expectations so high where finishing a couple games over 500 and still missing the playoffs isn't much to celebrate. So it was disappointing, and I think you're going to see a major shift in how the organization uses or comes out in 2025. I think they could be pivoting towards what they will probably call a reset. They don't like to use the word rebuild in St. Louis, but I think when you look at the trajectory from the club over the last 2 years, it's become pretty obvious they need to make some changes.
Yeah, what do you see that the Cardinals will maybe address in the offseason specifically?
So it's going to start with their player development system. When you think about the St. Louis Cardinals, you think about their farm talent, their ability to consistently churn out homegrown players. It's part of the reason why they were so effective in the 2010s. And of course, Giants fans remember those Cardinals teams very well, specifically in the even years. But they've kind of lost their way in that regard. They've made some cuts to player development where they felt like they had to keep their big league payroll intact. And the results we don't always see. It's like when you don't keep up the infrastructure of your house, you don't necessarily see it's cracking until it falls apart. So they saw that with their player development system, and they're going to spend the next couple of years revamping it. Chaim Bloom, the former executive for the Boston Red Sox, is joining their front office in a more expanded role. He'll be in charge of overseeing that rehaul of the player development system, and his first task with the Cardinals full-time is going to be hiring a new director of player development. So you can see kind of the foundation being rebuilt. What that means for the Major League Club remains to be seen, but you could see the next couple of years where maybe winning is in the back burner, and that is pretty unfathomable when you think about that for St. Louis.
How did the fans react this year? Are they still the sea of red? Are they still coming out like crazy?
No, Marty, I don't think you'd recognize Busch Stadium this year. For the first time since the stadium was built in 2006, the Cardinals failed to record 3 million in attendance. Wow. And you think, so they didn't have 3 million, they had around 2.8. That's still a great draw. But when you look at Cardinals games, it could be a random Tuesday afternoon, 100 degrees, and that ballpark is still full. It was eerily empty almost all in the second half. The fans made a statement. And when you think about St. Louis, baseball town, very passionate fan base, for their fans to not show up, I think that sent a very clear message. And this is a smart fan base, much like San Francisco. If you give them a transparent message on where the team is going, they're going to follow suit. And I think that's what this front office and ownership is set to do, lay out the plan for the next couple of years and hopefully get some fans back in the ballpark, because it was really unrecognizable in the last couple of months.
Wow, interesting. Katie Wu with us, covers the Cardinals for the Athletic. The Giants, I think, need a corner outfielder. I really do, of some youth who can run, and I love this Jordan Walker. And I saw him in the Fall League a couple of years ago, and he was fabulous. I mean, come on, Jordan Walker was going to be a big star. He hasn't really connected with the Cardinals, and he's been here a couple of years. Hits the ball 111 miles an hour on the ground. His launch angle is -5. If they can get the guy to lift the ball, he could be a star. Is that a kind of player who they will stay with and wait? Or is that someone who maybe they could move for a player? Because I'd like to see him here.
Yeah, you said it, Marty. You said on the ground. That's been one of the biggest problems for Jordan Walker, who, when he was their #1 draft pick in 2020, had some of the highest upside that the Cardinals had ever seen with their draft pick. And Jordan Walker's only 22. He's had kind of a turbulent season, right? He's been in the in the majors for 2 years, an option to AAA twice in those 2 years. He was drafted as a third baseman, spent 4 months in the minor leagues learning how to play the outfield before the Cardinals were like, hey, you know what would be a really good idea? If you continued learning how to play the outfield just at the major league level with big league games at stake. So it's been maybe not the best plan for Jordan Walker to start his career. He struggled a lot defensively, and he needs to get the ball off the ground, but when he figures that out, I mean, he hits mistake pitches and he hits them hard, as you noted. So plenty of talent for Jordan Walker. It's just a matter of maybe finding where he's best suited on the field. I'm not quite sure if that's right field. And what he can do to better incorporate hitting mistakes and getting the ball in the air, because the talent's there. It's just the execution.
So do you keep him?
I think if you are going towards this retooling that the Cardinals are doing, absolutely. He just has too much upside, and they have, honestly, Marty, so many first-round picks that have not panned out for them. They have to get Jordan Walker right. So I think he's a non-negotiable. So I'm sorry to break your heart.
All right. Well, you have. That's normal for me. It's okay. That's my life. But no, I like the way he plays. I do. I like what he's got. Paul Goldschmidt's at the end of his contract. What happens with him?
It's a great question. 37 years old, coming off of what he would describe as a disappointing season. His numbers in the first half especially were very un-Paul Goldschmidt-like. I know Giants fans see Paul Goldschmidt, Nolan Arenado, Matt Carpenter even, and they're used to very high levels of production, maybe to an annoying amount. I know I certainly felt that way growing up in the Bay anytime I saw those three guys come up.
Absolutely.
Right? But, you know, I don't think the Cardinals are sure what they're going to do with Goldschmidt, because if you're going to switch to this reset, retool thing like they're talking about, does it make sense to bring back Goldschmidt, who is going to make a lot of money, who wants to win? I mean, he's 37. We all have times where we can't play the game anymore, and when you're 37 years old, that weighs on your mind more than if you're 27, obviously. Yeah. So we will see. I think it depends if Goldschmidt wants to play for contender, if he wants to stay and be a part of a rebuild, if the Cardinals can afford to keep him. It's all kind of up in the air. So we could be seeing the last couple days of Paul Goldschmidt in a St. Louis Cardinals uniform.
Well, the pitching staff's kind of old. And I know when we went into this season, you and I talked about it with Gibson, Michaelis, Sonny Gray, Lance Lynn. So for me, that it didn't work out. So do you get rid of all of them?
Well, I think that goes back to the retool, right? It's time to maybe see what these young guys they have.
We'll see a guy tomorrow, McGreevy,
yes,
right?
That's one of their 2021 first-round picks, another guy they need to get right. And Andre Palante is emerged as the best second-half starter for the Cardinals, and you'll see him today. So this could be kind of a preview of what the spring training competition looks like. Both Kyle Gibson and Lance Lynn have options for next year. It's very similar to Goldschmidt. The Cardinals are going to rebuild. It's probably not likely that they pick up either option, but we will see. Sonny Gray, of course, still has 2 years guaranteed on his contract, so that might be a little bit more difficult to move. And Sonny Gray likes the movement, the youth movement. He likes to be kind of the dad of the rotation. So maybe that's something he's interested in sticking around for. We don't know. But I think you'll see guys like Andre Palante, Michael McGreevy. Cardinals have a prospect, Quinn Matthews. He went all the way from low A to AAA this year. Well, was named Baseball America's Prospect of the Year. So that's exciting. There are some options that they could look towards, but I don't think they'll have the old rotation, as you say, Marty, coming next year.
Well, you say it lovingly.
Lovingly, of
course.
Thank you.
Yeah, do you have what's maybe been the biggest surprise for the Cardinals this year, or maybe your favorite storyline that's happened over the course of the season?
I think the biggest surprise has been the dramatic drop in offense. The Cardinals are either last or next to last in the majority of all offensive categories. When the Miami Marlins are doing better than you, you're probably not doing something right. Yeah. But what's been surprising on a positive note is that bullpen that you mentioned, Marty. I mean, Ryan Helsley, franchise leader in saves, 49. This bullpen had a bunch of kind of no-names. You're thinking about Ryan Fernandez, Matthew Liberatore, who came up. And they really find a way to embrace their roles, and they've been really effective. When you look at the Cardinals and their close game record, it's actually where they've excelled, and they have really managed to find ways to win with a very slim margin of error. That is because of their bullpen. It's far and away been the bright spot of this club. The Cardinals' expected record has them maybe around 77, 78 wins right now. The bullpen has picked up a good amount because they've been able to close out these tight games.
Yeah, their run differential is minus 50.
Not great.
Wow.
Not great.
Wow.
Not great. Yeah, but they got it done. Giants are very similar in many ways. Their run differential is like +1 or something right now, something like that. But very similar. The bullpen's gotten it done for the Giants. You got to give them a lead after 6. They basically can bring it home. But like the Cardinals, the Giants can win and lose. And that's the kind of team we have here. But a lot of things are going to happen here in the offseason, I think. And sounds like things will happen in St. Louis as well. Katie Wu is here with us on the patio. So let me ask you, who do you think is going to win the National League pennant?
Oh, I love this question, mainly because there's so much chaos going on still.
Yeah.
I mean,
Really?
we're going to maybe see a doubleheader on Monday. I don't know how any of this works. There's so many possibilities. I saw something on The Athletic where there's over 1,000 ways that all these teams could match up still. I will say I really like what the San Diego Padres have done in the second half. Obviously, Mike Schilt, former Cardinals manager, was renowned as a player's manager there. He knows how to get the best out of his ball club. I think the Padres are scary because they know how to rally and they know how to win. That's a good lineup. Obviously, the Dodgers. For a while, I kind of thought the Padres might overtake the Dodgers in the NL
Same.
West. I thought that might happen.
I did.
Yeah.
My biggest question mark for the Dodgers is their pitching, of course, like everyone else. But they have the experience and they've done it before. But I'm big on the NL West. I think it could be the Padres. I think they could surprise some people.
Yeah,
Phillies?
I think so too.
No, the Phillies? What?
They're popular, Marty. I have to go against the grid here. Everyone's going to say the Phillies.
Well,
Spicing it
they
up.
got a bullpen. They have two. In the playoffs, you need two good starters. And they've got two. And Nola, is kind of okay. But Wheeler's an ace. And they do have a lot of bullpen. They're a little vulnerable, like the Cardinals, to lefties, because they got the Schwarber-Harper business. So we'll see. Phillies for me, it's Phillies or San Diego.
Okay.
I like what Katie said about San Diego. They were making a really, giving the Dodgers a run for their money for a minute there. And then with the Dodgers losing Glass now, too, for the season, it was looking a little sketchy, but they seem to be rolling.
All right, Katie, another question for you. Give me a player that you'd like to see on the St. Louis Cardinals, one of that free agent crowd. We've got Fried and Burns and Santander and Adames out there. Pete Alonso, Christian Walker, the Bellinger maybe, the usual
Flattery.
suspects.
This will never happen because they are not going to be very active on the free agent market. But after watching what Corbin Burns did to the Cardinals when he was a Brewer, it was not pretty, and no one could figure him out on St. Louis. And they would, obviously, and the Brewers and Cardinals play each other a lot, and every time Burns would be on the schedule, there'd be just like a collective groan in the clubhouse. It would be great to see him in St. Louis. It's not going to happen. All those free agents are going elsewhere. We should probably get used to the names on the AAA roster for the Cardinals. But that's not to say they won't be exciting, Marty. You can let the kids play. They have some young talent, but I don't think we'll see any of those big free agents here.
All right.
So no rumbles then for anybody kind of eyes on for the Cardinals?
No, I think the bigger question is who are they going to give away?
Okay.
All right, good. All right, this is great.
That's the inside scoop.
Get the inside scoop on the Cardinals. Similar to the Giants. Disappointing season, and they've got to get some help. All right, Katie, thanks so much for coming by. It's great to see you.
Both. It's great to be here. Two more left.
That's it, kiddo. That's it. What are you doing for the winter?
I will go back to St. Louis for a little bit, but other than that, I'm coming right back home to the Bay, hanging out with my family, enjoying that California weather, because it is not like that.
Well, we have our YouTube thing is starting. Marty, Lurie, and Friends Talking Ball. So you're on.
I'm on.
Believe
you just tell
me.
me when.
Absolutely. All right.
Pencil her in.
Great to have you. Thanks, Katie.
Thanks, Marty.
Thank you. Boy, what a pleasure. All right, more coming up. Bruce Jenkins next, right here in the Sports League.
Talking baseball with Marty Laurie on KNBR 104.5 and 680, the Sports Leader.
Fans for great baseball gear, check out Baseballism. The store is located at 3rd and King opposite the ballpark. Whether it's jackets, shirts, hats, you name it, Baseballism is the most unique store I've seen. It is the best. 3rd and King, right opposite the ballpark.
Look through the window of the original Joe's on North Beach and you'll see two guys at the counter talking ball. Time for you to listen in to their conversation. Marty Laurie and the SF Chronicles' Bruce Jenkins are looking through the window of baseball. Sponsored by Original Joe's of North Beach and Westlake on KNBR 104.5 and 680, the sports leader.
All right, great to have everyone back with us live at 58 Social in front of the ballpark. Thank you so much. Great to see you. Martha, thank you for coming out today. And we're joined by Bruce Jenkins. Hi, guys. How are you? Bruce, good morning. How are you?
Doing well. I just watched Paul Skeens strike out Aaron Judge. There's a matchup for you.
Boy, I'll tell you. But what a week of stars, though, with Judge homers 5 games in a row, and Ohtani, what he's doing, Bruce. Come on.
Well, what Ohtani's doing just lately is one of the most amazing things I've ever seen. The last 13 times he's been up with runners in scoring position, he has 12 hits.
Wow.
He's 12 for 13. You can't even. That's not even real.
24 for 34 in actual at-bats. How about that?
And hitting 309, and all of a sudden, that Triple Crown is very much in play.
Yeah. Ozuna 308. He's 309, and Arise, who was 0 for 14.
Yeah.
314 now. He went 3 for 5 last night with 2 doubles and a triple. And now the question is, they want to rest him, and he says, "Nah, I can't. I gotta play," because he's got 199 hits. He wants to get to 200.
Absolutely, and they want to play their best against Arizona, when possible. So, but regardless, Ohtani hitting over 300 with everything else he's doing is just remarkable.
Bruce, are they going to let Ohtani pitch again after he's having this monster season offensively for the Dodgers?
You mean like next season?
Yeah.
Oh, of course. That's not even a question. Why would you? He's been nothing but a fantastic pitcher his entire life. He's had a couple surgeries, but he takes them out and he's great. That's one reason they got him, was he'd be the sensational two-way player in the middle of Hollywood, and absolutely. I mean, they thought about pitching him right now in relief, but I'm sure that's not going to happen. But there's not even a question about that.
I just think the one season he focuses on offense, then he's breaking all these records.
It has been brought up, but as Bruce says, there's just too much at stake not to have him pitch.
Now, if we were to ask him, he'd just laugh at you. Of course I am. All
right. He has 408 total bases. Now, this is like our 67 doubles and all that stuff. You got 400 total bases. I think only 19 players have done it in the history of the game. The Dodger record is 416 by the great Babe Herman.
All right, 1930 or?
Yep, 1930, when they had a golf ball for a baseball. He had 416, and Babe Herman was he was the one that the Dodgers ended up with 3 runners on third base, and he was one of them.
And they would have had 4 if they could.
Right, that was Babe Herman. But yeah, he may break that record, the total base record. So that's pretty amazing.
Yeah, I mean, he's completely ridiculous. I mean, the Dodger franchise homer record was it was 49, which is a lot, but before that in Brooklyn, the best they could do is Duke Snider, 43, and now you got Ohtani at 54, and just, pretty much dusting everybody in the league. I mean, Ozuna's got 39. I mean, good grief. When was the last time a guy won a home run title that decisively outside of maybe the steroid era? But it's unbelievable stuff from Ohtani.
Tris Speaker, probably that. Something like
that.
But he's got 57 stolen bases. He broke Ichiro's record for a Japanese player in stolen bases, so he broke that record last night, too. Bruce, the Chronicle did a great job all week on the situation in Oakland. I must commend, I told John Shea last night, and he's had a tough year, boy. John has covered things on both sides of the bay and the passing of Willie Mays in Orlando.
Unbelievable.
He looked tired last night when I saw him, and I'll probably see Susan today and Aunt Killian and everyone else. But let's talk a little bit about this week of A's baseball and just the reactions and what it looked like to you. Oh, you were there, I think, weren't you? Were you
I wasn't. It turned out I couldn't. I couldn't make it. I couldn't make it, and I wasn't. I belong there in a lot of ways, but in terms of writing about that day, I didn't feel. watching it all unfold and all the stories and the emotions and the tears, all of which was so appropriate. But the best column that was written by Marcus Thompson, who said he didn't feel anything. He felt completely numb. He'd been numb for months over this ridiculous John Fisher stuff, and he just couldn't bring himself to cry over the friggin' idiot. And he's been there. It's done. He said it's all dried out over here, and that's exactly how I feel. And I didn't think a column like that would be appropriate in the paper. I mean, everybody else is just weeping, but not for me. And I go back a long way with this from the beginning with this franchise, and it was a huge part of my career. Good Lord, with Billy Martin, and those are the first teams I covered. I got to go to Fenway, one of the first trips I ever made, following the A's, and Mickey Morabito and Vucinich and Zagaris, and good Lord, I could just go on and on with all the great memories about the A's. But this John Fisher thing, I'm sorry, I'm numb. I'm very angry.
Yeah, Bruce, and I just want to give the best, warmest wishes to all of the Bay Area that's kind of mourning the loss of the Oakland A's. But as we look back at the history of how much baseball has been woven into the history of Bay Area, of just the Bay Area in general, how do you see the Bay Area evolving with baseball as the A's are leaving Oakland?
Well, it's certainly not evolving. I mean, they're losing the Oakland A's. I mean, it has played a huge part in the evolution of baseball. I mean, for two teams to leave New York and come west 3,000 miles into the great unknown, that's a hell of an adventure, and nobody knew quite how it would go. The Dodgers was probably a little more of a sure thing, but the Giants, who knew? But the thing about the Giants is that San Francisco had been a great baseball town for decades, and people came to realize that. It wasn't the big leagues, but the Pacific Coast League was as good as it got, and the Seals and all the great players that came through there who grew up here and played elsewhere, and then the Giants came out and were just immediately a tremendously watchable team. And when they won 3 titles in 5 years, they gave hope to a lot of teams to thinking, if we can just get hot like a hockey goalie in the playoffs, we can do a lot of things, and they made people so happy that it was just astounding. But the A's covered the spectrum. I mean, they went from the most cheapskate owner you could ever imagine, with an unbeatable team and a threadbare operation. You could barely find anybody over there if they were even working. And then they also set the standard for ownership. They went from the strangest, most bitterly cruel guy in Findlay to Walter Haas, who all of a sudden looked out for the community. They got fans out there. He was thoughtful. He was considerate. He stayed out of the way. Everything he said was correct. And his son Wally was there. Brings in Sandy Alderson. Billy Beane comes in, and Moneyball, and the A's became this revolutionary team. So that's how they're going to be remembered forever. Billy Martin's episode was extremely wonderful and very, very rewarding for the fans, and so interesting for the game. But now the MLB is going backwards now. They're in the fast lane, and they're looking in the rearview mirror because they're going backwards.
Yeah, a baseball team is a community asset. And seeing the response to the community about the A's in Oakland, people came out. People were very, very touched, and it was part of their lives, more so than I could ever imagine. And that's the thing. It's, as Michael Zagaris told me about 30 years ago, it's corporate greed. And that's what he always said. Remember, that was his phrase. And you mean to tell me they couldn't figure out a way to save this community asset for that community, and the community meaning the East Bay, not just Oakland?
Can you imagine if Fisher had sold to Joe Lacob?
Yeah, well, can't you do that? Do you have to make $3 billion more? Really, there comes a point in life, and especially with baseball, when the community is more, it's a quasi-community ownership. And the investment of families, like you just said, and everyone else, it just supersedes the fact that you can make $2 billion by building something, in the middle of a parking lot somewhere.
Yeah, but that applies to life as well. Money doesn't buy your ultimate paradise and what you'd really like to see in your lifestyle. But I just remember, Marty, going out to games covering games at the Coliseum when there was kind of a medium kind of crowd, and you were down there. I'd go down behind the plate, almost like spring training, and find a seat alongside the scouts, and I'd watch those nights, the two pitchers that night and what they had, and get a really up-close feel for the game. And I'd look around, and you'd see all these folks in their green jackets, and it wasn't a sellout, but these fans were just, they lived and died with the A's.
Yep.
And if they couldn't go, they had it on the radio.
They always have. They always have.
Oh, they always have. And I remember sitting out in the bleachers in '68 going, geez, what a thing. We've got the American League here. So, all of which adds up to I did not want to write. I'm glad I didn't have to write.
Yeah.
Because it's just too angry for right now.
Yeah, I'm glad we could have you on to talk about it. I'm a little numb, too. I really am, just to see how this has evolved for me since 1996. And, of course, I went out there from 1972 on. When I first came here, I talk about being out there on a half-price Monday night with 50,000 people to see Vida pitch. And I remember doing that. And so, for me, I'm numb in how they handled it. That's my point on this one. All right. Well, how about the Detroit Tigers, Bruce? Is it an opener every day? They got Skubal, who's going to be the Cy Young Award winner. They've won 10 of 11. They just whack everybody. And now they're going to take on the Orioles in the playoffs. How about that?
Yeah, they don't have to pitch Skubal this weekend, which is really crucial. They don't have a great rotation, but if he pitches the opener, you could very well be looking at a loss. The guy's going to win the Cy Young. He's tremendous. He's a Bay Area guy. Grew up idolizing Barry Zito and the big curveball, and they're just they just steamrolled people. You're going to have to get to know Riley Green and Kerry Carpenter and Parker Meadows and Trey Sweeney and how about A.J. Hinch?
Really?
Good grief. He's if I had a Manager of the Year vote, he would definitely be in my top 3. What a great story. A few years ago, he was suspended over the Astros thing because he managed the team that won it all under those dubious circumstances, but he's back. And nobody really talks about that. That's a class act, and I'm just so happy for him, and it's going to be fun to watch them.
Yeah, and this is the Tigers, the first time they've clinched a playoff berth since 2014. And I think we all kind of remember 2014, the Giants, obviously, beating the Tigers in that one. So,
yeah, good for them. And remember Scott Harris, who was here?
Yeah.
Come on, how about the job this guy's done?
I know, tremendous. They've got a lot of really good young players. Riley Green is probably the best of them, and Kerry Carpenter is probably the best hitter. But that kid Trey Sweeney made an unbelievable play at shortstop the other night in a huge game when they had not clinched. He's out there, colliding with the left fielder. He still makes the catch and then gets up and throws the guy out in a heartbeat. It was just a stunning play.
Yeah, well, they play the Orioles in 3. They could beat them.
They could, very
they've gone
much so.
6 in a row.
Yeah, why not?
Yeah.
So they win. The Tigers win last night, and the White Sox lose game 121. Now, that means they have, in 160 games, they have broken the Mets record. See, the Mets had 40 and 120. They didn't play 2 games because of a rainout.
Oh, yeah.
So I'm glad that they broke the record within 160. So no one can say they needed extra games to do it. But how about that? They lost 121 games.
Yeah, and I'm sad that the Mets record got broken because I always wanted them to stand as the so-called worst team because they were, when they came to New York, they could do no wrong. The Giants had left, and now they got a National League team, and they were very lovable with an incredible cast of characters, just totally eccentric, and Choo Choo Coleman and Ed Kranepool, and just the whole story. Nobody really was crushed that they were losing these games because they were playing National League ball, and they were the lovable, horrible Mets, and the White Sox are just plain horrible.
Well, we were just glad to get a team back in New York because the Dodgers left, the Giants left, and the Mets showed up, and all the people who love the Giants and Dodgers became Met fans, and the orange and blue, the Met colors were, from the Dodgers and all that. So when it was magic in New York, they were just happy to have a team, and they had some of the old vet. They didn't go like Houston, with the kids. They went with veterans with the names in New York. and it was a very special year. I guess the worst team ever is the Cleveland Spiders.
Who could forget them?
Well, that's why these records of baseball are beautiful. 1899, they lost, 130 games, whatever. But the reason why is because the owner of the Spiders also owned the Cardinals. And he wanted to beef up the Cardinals, so he took all the good players from the Spiders and put them on the Cardinals.
So who could forget you and I sitting down with that guy one night? He could really throw him down, I tell you.
I love it. That's why, look, baseball is built on things. Football is looking forward, basketball is looking forward, baseball looks backward and compares, and that's the beauty of the game. That's the beauty of it. Did you see the college football game last night, Miami and Virginia Tech?
Yes, I did. I've been following that team for a lot of reasons. Cam Ward, the quarterback, and the coach. We're Oregon parents, and he left Oregon with much too soon, and he bailed out to Miami. So but he's a hell of a coach. But the finish of that game, it took like 15 minutes. You either win or you lose. I mean, and even with all the replays, you really could not tell, for sure what it was. And it's pretty shocking that when they rule it a touchdown on the field, if it's going to take 15 minutes, you figure they're not going to reverse it. But they did, and all of a sudden Miami's running off the field, and those Virginia Tech guys were just crushed.
Yeah, Miami is winning 38-34 at the time, and Virginia Tech on the last, no time on the clock, throws like a 50-yard Hail Mary into the sea of hands.
Yeah.
Somebody comes down with it, and it looked like when he came down he may have bobbled it, but they called it a touchdown. And Virginia Tech now wins, and then 15 minutes later they said, nope, he bobbled it. Miami, you win. Goodbye.
That's unfortunate.
Yeah.
That's when replay really bugs me. I mean, just any time you're sitting there for 2 or 3 minutes in whatever sport it is, while you wait for somebody who's not even in the stadium to tell you what the ruling is. That's really bothersome. And of course, when they get an egregious call when it's reversed for the right correctly, that's great. But the delays override it for me. It's just too much.
What do you think of the Matt Chapman Award, the Willie Mack Award?
Well, as soon as he extended, I thought he was a lock for that award because now he's going to be here. I heard that somebody say Blake Snell was a candidate, but he's a great guy, but he could leave. I mean, you can't give it to a guy who winds up being there one season.
He's the opposite of Willie.
He's the opposite, yeah.
He doesn't want to pitch today. Come on, he's not pitching today. Tristan Beck is pitching.
Is that right?
Yeah. Snell said, "Nah, I don't think so. I'm going to be a free agent. I'm not going to pitch." So
he's definitely not. The award. Mike Krukow won that a couple times, and you think about what kind of a guy he was. That's the kind of guy that wins this award. And Matt Chapman, I love. Casey Schmidt was talking the other day because he could easily play third base for this club. He could play third base for a lot of clubs. Yeah. And what about Chapman? He goes, I love Chapman. I love watching him run. I love watching him field. I love being on the same team with him. He's just this amazingly great guy, and what a time he's had with the newborn and the new contract, and I'm so happy for the guy. And he's I think he's been getting better as a hitter as the season goes on. He's the kind of guy who might pop one out of there for you. So you add that defense, and he's a perfect choice for that award.
One historical note today, September 28th, 1997. Tony Gwynn wins his 8th batting title, his 4th in a row, hits .372, and ties Honus Wagner for his 8th batting. How about that? I mean, you think Tony Gwynn, great hitter. Then you hear something like that, and you realize how great he really was.
Yeah, we look at the leaders every week, and Arias, and there's 2, I think now 3 guys hitting 300. They're just barely scratching over the 300 level. Well, he won a string of batting titles over 4 years, 394, 368, 353, and 372. I mean, and how about this? The guy never struck out. He had a 6-year run of strikeouts. This is his season totals now. We're not talking about a week. 19, 16, 19, 19, 15, and 17 strikeouts in a full season. I mean, Ohtani has struck out 162 times.
Wow.
De La Cruz 215 times, and he's one of the most exciting guys in the game. But Tony Gwynn, you can't touch that guy.
No.
He's from another time, and it's not this time. It's not going to be this time.
Birthday today, Charlie Kerfield, the old relief pitcher for the Houston Astros. I love him. He's a scout for the Phillies now. When he shows up, that means the Phillies are doing something.
Yeah.
But he told me one story. That's why I like to mention his name. Nolan Ryan was his mentor, and he wanted Charlie to pitch inside. He said, you got to do it. And Nolan would say, Charlie, give that man a bow tie. And Charlie Kerfield would tell me the story. I said, Charlie, just tell me the story. I must have heard it 50 times.
Out of Carson City, Nevada. He went to high school with Matt Williams up there.
Oh, yeah. And, sweet guy. Good scout. Good scout.
Yeah, he was a quirky guy. One time he wore number 37, and part of his contract demands was he wanted 37 boxes of orange Jell-O. They go, what the hell? He goes, well, you can't print it, but put it this way, a lot of fun was had.
That's Charlie.
Yeah.
A great scout. Give that man a bow tie.
Yeah.
That was it. All right, Bruce, thanks for hanging in. We'll talk to you tomorrow morning.
Thanks, guys. Look forward to it.
All right,
Thanks.
be well. All right, more coming up. We're live, 58 Social right here at Oracle Park. Baseball today, Giants and Cardinals, Game 2. More coming up right after this.
Talking baseball with Marty Laurie on KNBR 104.5 and 680, the sports leader.
Just a quick note about the rooftop restaurant at the Via Hotel, the Hotel Via across the street from the park. They do a wide variety of events on the rooftop, from weddings and birthdays to corporate retreats and special events, holiday events, and any other special occasion you can think of. With stunning 360 views of the skyline, Bay Bridge, East Bay, and of course Oracle Park, the rooftop at Via is truly one of the most unique event venues in San Francisco. Fans, I love to talk about my good friends at Georgie Brothers Furniture. They've served the Bay Area for over 90 years. Their talented staff work as a team to help their customers find beautiful pieces of furniture to invest in. The 50,000 square foot showroom, you've heard of it, is full of some of the finest manufacturers of furniture, carpets, and window coverings. Now, one of the most popular furniture lines that I own is Stressless. You know, I love it. They make high-quality, comfortable furniture, including sectionals, sofas, love seats, single reclining chairs, as well as the one I've got, and that is the chair and ottoman. I love it. Starting August 30th and running all the way until October 21st, there's a new Stressless promotion. It's called Fall Savings. During this sale, you'll receive an instant 10% savings on all Stressless furniture. This can easily add up to hundreds of dollars. It's an unbelievable savings on one of the most well-made furniture products today. That's Georgie Brothers Furniture. The showroom is in South San Francisco with free parking. Since 1933, the best source for home furnishings. Visit them at GeorgieBrothers.com. That's GIORGIBROS.com. Remember to tell them Marty sent you. Vans Bridge Bank delivers their clients full relationship banking, including treasury management solutions and global market services. Bridge Bank offers financing solutions to businesses for their working capital, equipment, and real estate needs. This is very important in today's world. Fred Voss is the Senior Managing Director of Bridge Bank's commercial lending efforts in Northern California. He has commercial banking teams in San Jose with Jesse Garcia, San Francisco, Oakland, Cheadle, Cordova, and in Pleasanton. Bridge Bank, it's like banking at home. I can't say enough about it.
Orange and Black family, the godfather of Giants baseball now continues. This is Talkin' Baseball with Marty Laurie on KNBR, the sports leader.
All right, great to have you back with us. We've got Giants baseball today. Palante, who Katie Wu says will be in their rotation next year. And no Blake Snell today, Tristan Beck. Blake Snell begging off, coming up to be a free agent, doesn't need any trouble today. JT Snow joins us. And I talk about great first baseman I've seen in my lifetime. Nobody better than the former Giant JT Snow. JT, how are you?
I'm good, Marty. How you doing?
We're doing well. Carmen is out here in Sandra G and enjoying what should be a beautiful day at the ballpark. Just a couple. I know you've been on KNBR all year long, and you do a great stint there. But this ball club, JT, they're close to 500. They win, they lose, they can win any night, or they could lose any night. How do you assess this actual ball club?
Well, first of all, I want to say it was a great night last night for the Willie Mack Award. We had some guys out there, Matt Chapman, well-deserving winner. It was good to see old friends, Chris Spire. How about Larry Herndon was the second winner all time. Bill shows up. Marvin Bernard was out there. And we had a great night at the ballpark last night. The Giants always do a great job with that. We were up in the suite. We were talking a lot of baseball. And I think the one thing that strikes me this year is just the inability to hit with runners in scoring position. And, I don't know if I blame players nowadays, because that was not a big emphasis when they're coming up. If you remember the analytics, the strikeout and the fly balls, as good as putting the ball in play, which you talk to the guys that we play with, which we totally disagree with, but they need to put the ball in play more. They need to be more clutch in RBI situations, runners in scoring position. And for me, that's it. And sometimes during the year, the defense was a little shoddy, throwing the wrong bases and making errors in the field. And if you look at the Giants' record this year, I think they played about 90 games that were 2 runs or less, and they did not have a good winning record in those games. So, the runner in scoring position was not a big stat, a few years ago. And now the guys, you watch guys try and drive in runs, and it just doesn't happen. So for me, that was the biggest thing, the offense and the lack of ability to drive in runs in key situations. Maybe in 2 strikes, you give in a little bit, you hit a ground ball, you hit a sac fly, you put the ball in play. And I just don't think the Giants did that enough this year.
JT, it's Carmen here. I actually wanted to go back to what you were just saying at the beginning of this, which was you're talking a little bit about the Willie Mack Award, and obviously you are a 2-time winner, which is a tremendous honor. What do you remember most about receiving the award? Like, what feeling do you take away from getting it?
So the first year I won it was 97. That was the year that Brian Sabian did the whole retool, right? He traded for myself and Jeff Kent. We had Jose Vizcaíno. We had Darryl Hamilton. So I won it that year. And I think in part I won it because that spring training I was hit in the face by Randy Johnson with a fastball. And I jammed hard in spring training. I went down to the minor league camp because I missed the whole spring training. I went down to the minor league camp every day for a week, and I batted third, and I got something like 70 at-bats in a week because I wanted to be in the opening day lineup at Candlestick. So I made it back, and I won it that year, and then I won again in 2004. So there was Mike Kruko's a 2-time winner. He won it back-to-back years. Benj Molina won it back-to-back, and I was the only guy that hasn't won it back-to-back twice. And I tell people I was probably a bad teammate for 6 years, and then they voted me back in as 2007. But when I first won it, I didn't really understand the award, but the people and the fans of San Francisco that came up and congratulated me, and then you start to realize year after year what a big deal it is, because it's only voted on by the players, the coaches, and the training staff. It's only the people that are in that insulary locker room that see you every day. So it's as you get older, it's a pretty special award. I think Matt Chapman, and I had a chance to talk to his parents last night, and these guys that win this they love it, and it's a big deal because it's not like any other award. It's by your peers, and it's just the best teammates. And there's a lot of good Giants players that have never won the award, and I think that says a lot. And it's the guys in the clubhouse that are good guys that show up every day. They play hard. They don't make excuses, and you play hard every night. And I think your peers recognize that. So it's pretty special that I was able to win it twice.
Hey, JT, it's Sandra G here. It was great seeing you out at Orlando's celebration a couple weeks ago. And I just wanted to touch on, we're talking about first baseman, and the Giants have a really special prospect in the wings right now. So what advice would you give a younger player? We've got a lot of younger guys on the Giants. But what specifically, maybe for Bryce Eldridge, what kind of advice would you give him as he's developing and trying to hit this major league level?
Yeah, the one thing is I hope they don't rush him, right? I think he's 19 years old, and he's had a great year this year, right? Starting in A-ball, getting all the way up to AAA, and I've seen video on him. I've watched him hit, and he can obviously do it. It's a different era now, though. Like, teams will rush guys to get to the big leagues, and sometimes you're not ready. Sometimes physically, sometimes mentally, and you're young. I just hope they take their time with this guy. When I came up, I was drafted by the Yankees. We played a year at each level and got 400, 500 at-bats in the minor leagues. So then when we got to the big leagues, we were ready to go. And now they rush guys, and it's the mental side of the game is so hard, and that's the tough part. It's not the physical, it's the mental. And when guys fail, and we've seen it with some of the guys from Tyra Estrada and Casey Schmidt's been up and down, and Luciano and Matos, and I just don't know if those guys have had enough success in the minor leagues and got to work out. It's better to fail down there in front of 1,500 people a night than 30,000 a night. So I hope they take their time with this guy. He looks like he's going to be a really good player, but he's still young. And I think the Giants need somebody at first base that is a run producer, can drive in runs. I like Lamont Wade. I like his game. You gotta drive in runs, and you have to be productive, and that's what we did back in the day, and it's a different time nowadays, but I just hope they take their time And maybe they call in some guys at spring training that have played the position and help work with this kid and give him the mental tools, as long as the physical tools, to be a great big leaguer for the next 10, 15 years.
What great! Hey JT, love having you on. We'll do this more often. I appreciate it. Thank you.
Absolutely. You guys enjoy the day.
All right,
JT,
that's
you
JT
too.
Snow. Really a pleasure. Walter, come on over here. We want to talk with you. Carmen, you ready?
Oh, yeah.
All right.
Born
Walter,
ready.
we have Carmen comes up with questions. And these are not easy questions, but you have to give some sort of answer that is in code. That
No. We're doing a different game. I came up with a new game today.
Not hullabaloo or
No. Wow. Delulu Salulu. Yeah, we're not playing
not that.
Delulu Salulu today.
All right.
We're going to play a new game
All right, go
called
ahead.
Just One Thing. So the idea here is you can only pick one thing or person or situation for these questions that would have changed the outcome of the Giants season.
Okay.
So Marty, I know you like to waffle. You're like, how about this? How about this? You can't do that. This is not that game, okay?
All
We need
right.
straight shooting.
So I got Walter here.
Yeah, exactly. He's going to keep you in line. I know he will. All right. So the first one is one key trade acquisition to have changed everything.
I would say Pete Alonso.
Yeah, come over to my side.
Next question.
That big bat that they needed. The big bat they needed.
Yeah, 100%. I mean, that's something that they definitely needed at the trade deadline. I'd probably go with a bat. I wouldn't go Alonso. I'd go Vlad Jr. I wanted a Vlad
That's
Jr.
good too.
Yeah.
That may happen over the winter.
Hopefully we'll see.
Man, my initial knee-jerk reaction is Bo Bichette. Because I just feel like we needed a little bit more consistency early on in the season at shortstop. Like we weren't getting production out of Ahmed. And if you look at the Giants, I really do think a handful of games more and they're potentially making the playoffs. And that could have come from, like JT Snow was just alluding to, 1 or 2 run games, but also like not having that consistency in the starting pitching role for the Giants. So it would either be kind of like a defensive guy for me or maybe a starter.
All right, how about this? One key injury that that wouldn't have happened to change everything. What would you have taken back?
Blake Snell.
Yeah.
If he came out of the gate pitching like he did the second half, this team would be in the playoffs.
Yeah. Samesies.
Yeah, I mean Blake Snell. That changes everything, right? But I would probably go with Lamont Wade Jr. because
All right, Walter.
at
Walter.
that point
Walter's
in
got
the season,
Nailed it.
inside.
I was going to say Jung Ho Lee.
Yeah, Jung Ho Lee was
Okay.
also a candidate, but at that point, like Lamont Wade Jr. was rolling, and the offense really took a hit when he landed on the IL. So
Yeah, and-
I mean, Elliot Ramos came in and kind of provided a little bit of a cushion, but when they lost Lamont Wade Jr., a lot of the thump in the lineup kind of changed.
Okay.
Yeah, I agree.
Kind of ended Flores' career, too.
Right,
So he
right.
couldn't handle it.
All right, how about one series or moment that could have changed everything?
Not getting swept by San Diego and not scoring a run. If they would have turned that around on San Diego, they could be in the playoffs now.
Yeah.
Wow, okay. That's a good. Do you agree? You all agree?
I would probably go with that series
Cardinals, maybe?
against the Braves.
Braves,
That's
good
kind of
one.
where it all kind of tailed off at the back end, and that was kind of the end of the Giants' season at that point.
The Cardinals didn't help either
No,
after Rickwood.
yeah.
That was
Yeah,
a mess
brutal.
too.
Yeah.
That was tough. I don't know.
You can pass. I know it's a hard question.
It's really hard, but I just feel like if they were a little bit better at home, and I know right now we're coming out of like a 10 loss out of
2 and
12
10,
stretch.
yeah.
Yeah, at home.
Rough.
So, that's super rough to come back from. And I mean, we did have a great road series, but they weren't playing too great on the road for a while there too. So
It's so rough. The ambulance is here.
I know, call the ambulance.
They hear us talking about the Giants'
Yeah,
season.
they're here. Okay, how about one manager that could have inspired this team to do more?
Are we gonna say vote?
No shade to anybody, but let's just say you could put anybody at the helm, and nobody gets hurt. Everybody's feelings are
Sure.
intact.
The professor.
I'm with you there.
Yeah.
You know how I feel about that.
Whoa. Put Ron Wotus.
Yeah.
Put the pro in the dugout. Yeah. Woe is a detail guy, a defense guy. He's been there. I'd say Ron Wotus.
I second that. I mean, Ron Wotus, that would be my pick too.
Yeah, well.
Whoa for president over here.
For
So
sure.
I think we got that one in the bag. How about one key player that didn't meet expectations this season?
Can I go first?
Soler. Oh, okay. That's not who I was going to say.
Biggest disappointment, you guys. I was so rooting for him, and I thought he was going to be that big bopper, and I thought he was going to be the dude, and he was going to be leading the Giants in home runs, and then he didn't even finish the season in our uniform. So huge disappointment, and I wish him the best, but I was.
He's hitting the ball well for Atlanta now. He's been terrific.
Well, that's great, isn't
it?
Love that for us.
I just want to put that in there. Estrada.
Okay, yeah.
You know, I do these bets with Rick Smith and Tony Salvador and Bob Bushyhead before the season, you know, $2 and all that. I had Estrada in everything. Stolen bases, batting average, RBI. I had him on top of just about everything. Nothing. Zero.
Nothing.
Absolutely zero. And gone.
Yeah.
Yeah.
How about that?
Unfortunate.
Yeah.
I would probably go with the shortstop position at a whole because, I mean, it was just a black hole all season long. There just was nothing there productivity-wise. So, yeah, I'd probably go with that.
I was thinking nobody said Camilo Duvall.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
You know, which
pick.
it's not
Good
that
pick.
he was so terrible, but he really, I feel like we were riding so high, you know, and then it just didn't deliver.
And I think, too, the emergence of Ryan Walker kind of eased that pain a little bit, so it hasn't been as glaring and the bullpen just as a whole, the production from them was fantastic, and I think that kind of eased the pain of that a little bit.
Yeah.
All right, how about one farm player that should have or should not have been brought up this season?
That's a good question, Carmen.
Well,
good question.
Marty's got opinions.
Who
starting
wasn't
off
called
with
up?
well.
Who wasn't called up is the question. They called up everybody. Almost everybody.
I would have to say Luciano.
Yeah.
And now they're talking about giving him a year at AAA, teaching him a new position. It's so tempting to bring him up because the bat plays. If he hits 380 for 2 weeks in the PCL, you want him. But he really needs a year of PCL ball, defensively and offensively. Every time you yo-yo him up and down, I think it's a problem.
Yeah, I would probably go with Carson Wisenhunt. I was actually expecting to see him.
He got hurt too.
Yeah, he had a toe, I think, in July or something unrelated to baseball. But yeah, I'd probably go with Carson Wisenhunt because I was expecting to see him at some point this season, like around May or June, but it just never happened. So I'm still curious to see what they have there with their arm arsenal.
Yeah, I'm going to piggyback on Luciano, and I think especially with Katie Wu was just on earlier too, talking about player development, and the Giants got to figure out a way to get this one right with him because he's such a great prospect, and he's been moved around position, and first base isn't an option anymore. If they were thinking to move him there because of how big he is, and I think outfield, infield, it's some decision needs to be made, and that needs to be definitive, and they need to go with that.
There's nothing that is more of a buzzkill than a prospect you're really excited about getting yo-yoed. You know what I mean? Like, it is so anticlimactic for something you've been waiting for so long.
Frustrating.
It is very frustrating. So for the fans, for the player, for the team. So, yeah, I hear you on that. I got one more for you. One player you wish caught fire or went on a tear.
Actually caught fire?
Yeah, like was on fire. Just kidding.
That's why the ambulance or the fire truck was just going?
Yeah.
Great dad joke.
Kind of a nasty question.
What do you mean?
All right.
No, it's not. Oh,
Caught
you're
fire.
Uh-huh.
All
Or
right.
just went on a tear. You wish we're hot, kind of stayed consistent. Which is the one player that could have changed it if they really were consistent?
I'll go with Bailey. The good first half and disappearing in August, and now in September he got a few hits. But, boy, you got to worry about his offense, where it's going. And, he missed a bunch of balls behind the plate and stuff like that. I'd say Bailey. You'd like to see a solid year out of him.
Yeah. I would probably go with the pitching side and go with Kyle Harrison. I was expecting a big jump this year, and it didn't happen, and he had to deal with a lot of injuries as well. But just seeing what he can do this offseason as far as the off-speed pitches and how he can add to his pitching arsenal, that'd be huge. But, yeah, Kyle Harrison for me.
I'm going to go with a little combo of Conforto and Yastrzemski.
It's called Just One Thing.
That's right. Okay.
Please.
Come on, I behaved.
You did behave.
I know.
I didn't expect you to step out of line, Sandra, honestly.
Please reread the question?
Can you say Yaz Fordo? Just combine it.
Yes, Fordo. Well, maybe I'll go with Yaz. I love him as a player, and when he gets hot, I feel like him being such a leader in the clubhouse, and he's a former Willie Mack Award winner too. So I think that him being hot, it just like adds to his leadership qualities and can like really bring the club up as a whole. So I'm going to go with Yaz.
All right, and that concludes Just One Thing.
Great job, Carmen. Very nice.
Cue the applause,
awesome.
Raph.
Yeah. A lot of fun. All right. We are, first of all, for us, we are back tomorrow morning, 8 a.m. for us, 8 a.m. in the bunker tomorrow.
Breakfast with the Giants.
And we'll be there, and it'll be a lot of fun. We'll do that tomorrow. Our YouTube channel is happening at Baseball Marty Lurie.
Do you know the URL?
That's it, yeah. So it's youtube.com/@baseball Marty Lurie. And that'll take you to Marty's
right. And the name of the show is Marty Lurie and Friends Talking Ball. And that's the goal. This, as things happen, Walter will come on, and you may want to come on with somebody else.
Sure, yeah.
And use it and do it and have that content. Carmen, you as well, Katie Wu. And it's for everybody. And we're going to talk ball all winter. I know, Walter, you got a lot of 49er Warriors stuff coming up. But there's could be a lot of baseball stuff happening.
For sure.
And this gives us a chance to jump on immediately. So when you subscribe, please subscribe, because then when you do that, if we're coming on, you get a little notice.
Well,
right?
no, you subscribe, but you got to hit that. Oh, God, I watch too much YouTube. Hit that notification bell. That is what notifies you. Sometimes if you subscribe and the algorithm is not favoring your channel, you might not get the notification or you might not see it in your feed. So make sure to hit the bell next to subscribe, turn on notifications, and then you'll be notified every time Marty or friends go live.
Very good. You're a good marketer.
Wow, yeah, it's almost like I do this by trade.
Yeah, I like it. Very good. All right, so we got Game 2 coming up today, Palante and Tristan Beck, and then back tomorrow for the finale at 8 a.m. Walter, thanks for everything here today, and you got a show coming up.
I do. Yeah, we're going to be talking with Carlos Ramirez. Talk to him a little bit, so we'll talk some Giants and big picture stuff.
All right, very good. He's got a lot of opinions, Carlos.
Yes,
I know that.
He does.
I like him. Raph, you okay with breaks? We just go to a break now? All right, Raph, why don't you come on for a second? How are you?
Good, Marty. Yeah, doing well. You're here in the KNBR studios.
How'd you like it today?
It was a lot of fun. Yeah, it was great to get JT on. He wasn't sure what time or day he was coming on, so he was sort of surprised he got a call from me.
I know.
The Marty Lurie experience.
Right. We have Mike Mooney, who's a former Giant minor leaguer, coming on tomorrow, who Sandra knows. Do you know Mike Mooney?
I do not, no.
Yeah, he played with Nate Shearholtz in AAA, and Sandra, you knew him from Sacred Heart, right?
That's right, yep. Good old Gator guy.
I ran into him last night when I got my apple pie from Janine.
Yes. I thought it was a peach cobbler.
It was an apple pie. Okay. Janine, the usher in 115, makes me a pie every year, and other people too. And I got my pie last night, and there was Mike Mooney, and he's saying, "What's that?" And I explained it to him. He says, "Hey, I played." I said, "Cool. We'll put you on." So that's the way we do the show. Did I eat enough French fries, Raph?
Yeah, I think Barry Bloom's going to stop by pretty soon.
I like French fries. You know, we're 58 Social. They do it right. It's my one treat during the year that I could do that. So, all right. I like the show today. This was fun.
Good.
How's Ponzu doing?
Ponzu's ready for her big moment, maybe. We practiced when we went on a walk, so she's doing good.
Yeah, Ponzu is Carmen's dog and is going to be the play ball dog today and hopefully bark on cue. And
Don't know if that's
doesn't, you will.
Yeah, that's my plan. That's
All
what
right.
a mother does.
You got your woof ready.
I do.
All right. Everyone, thanks for listening today. And back with you tomorrow morning at 8 a.m. We'll take a break. Walter coming up with our Giants warm-up right after this.
Talking baseball with Marty Lurie on KNBR 104.5 and 680, the sports leader.
Fans, it's great to have you back with us as we get ready for Giants baseball. We're joined by Grant Power, the president and CEO of Nations. Grant, a quick question for you. What do you like for breakfast when you go to Nations?
My choice, I go with the two-egger, and I either go super crispy bacon, or I go wild salmon. I substitute that in. But I love both of those meat choices. So I'm pretty much 50-50 on both of those. And then I go over medium on my eggs, and I ask for chopped onions on top of those. And then again, 50-50, I go either French toast substitute or I go hash browns and toast. And if I go hash browns and toast, I almost always pick English muffin as my bread. Definitely do coffee, definitely do orange juice, and I'm always filled up. I usually don't need anything until a late lunch, and there are lots of wonderful breakfasts, but that's my top choice.
Well, I love it. All right, Grant, you're making me hungry. Thanks for being on. We'll talk to you again.
Always a privilege. You take care, Marty.
That's Grant Power, President, CEO of Nations.
ring of the cable car, the bellow of the foghorn, the splash into McCovey Cove.
This one is on its way to the bay. That one is wet.
And the sweet sound of Tony Bennett.
Good! Into McCovey Cove in Willie McCovey's
high on a hill.
Giants baseball.
This is it. Game on. For crying out loud.
Nothing like it. They're cracking bats.
Swing. There's a long drive to right. It's headed for the bag. The third of the night.
Popping gloves.
Dropping a goal to first. Double play. Unbelievable.
And swiping bags. Giants baseball.
Hello, San Francisco Bay.
We are going home.
There's nothing like it. Seam heads, start cracking those peanuts and spitting those seeds, because gloves are soon to be popping.
He makes a headlong dive and makes the catch.
And bats are going to get cracking.
Blast one, deep right field, gone.
Welcome to KNBR's Giants Warmup.
Way back there, goodbye.
On the sports leader.
2. Chapman, it's a high drive. Left center field. McCarthy tracking. He'll jump and he can't catch it. It's off the wall. And it's going to start caroming back towards center field. Chapman coming to third. Williams is sending him. Here comes a throw. He slides in safely. Matt Chapman with an inside the park home run.
All right, what's up, Giants fans, and welcome to the Giants Warm-Up Show. We are live here at 58 Social, the final Saturday of the 2024 regular season for the San Francisco Giants. You heard it there. Matt Chapman earlier this week hit a inside the park home run against the Arizona Diamondbacks, and he was named your Willie Mack Award winner yesterday evening. So you can't think of anyone else that was more deserving of that honor when you look at everybody that everything that Matt Chapman has done to contribute to this Giants team this season. When you just look at the stat sheet, right? I mean, he's leading the team in home runs. But outside of all of that, you just look at the heart and soul that he puts into this Giants team, this Giants organization, and just the know that he is there for the long haul, that he is here for a 6-year extension. You just love to see that he gets that Willie Mack Award, because I can't remember. Maybe it's Hunter Pence, right? Maybe it's Hunter Pence, but I can't remember someone that just came in to this organization, to this Giants team, and just fit. It just fit, and you feel good seeing him out there. So the fact that he's going to be around for the Giants organization for the next couple of years here for that 6-year extension, you just love to see it. Love to see it. So Matt Chapman is our Willie Mack Award winner. We'll hear from Matt Chapman in his award acceptance speech, and we'll hear from Bob Melvin, because it is a big deal, right? Just to have that be awarded that Willie Mack Award. And you have to remember, it is voted by your peers. It is voted by your coaches. And also now it is included by the fans. And there was a lot of players that it could have fallen to. I mean, when you look at this Giants team, and that's why, when we start to get to the end of this season and you start to think about how everything went, there was a lot of positives. There was a lot of positives that came from this season, because when you look to the Willie Mack Award, I mean, it's the most inspirational player on the team, right? To honor the legacy of Willie McCovey. And yes, Matt Chapman won it, and I think that it was hands down that he is who should have won that award. But when you look at this Giants team, when you look at everyone else, I mean, Logan Webb was there, and he was someone that was a constant in this team. And when you look to kind of the changing of the guard with all of the older players like Brandon Crawford and Brandon Belt, and the list goes on with Bruce Bochy no longer being here, there was a void for a couple of years as far as who was going to be the leader of this team. And I think Matt Chapman took that this year, but also you look to Logan Webb, and he was there every day, kind of holding the team accountable, and you would hear him just wanting more out of this club. So Logan Webb was someone that was honorable, that could have won the Willie Mack Award. And when you're looking at someone that that did a lot with a limited amount of time. Elliot Ramos. Elliot Ramos is someone that finishing out this season and going into next year, I think that's someone that you can really rely on going into the next couple of years. Is that he started his major league career with the Giants on May 8th, right? May 8th, and he took that and ran with it and made an all-star appearance, made an all-star game, made an all-star team, and he did it in such a limited amount of time to where you look at him and he kind of reminds me of a little bit of the energy in the clubhouse of a Pablo Sandoval, right? I mean, this guy is just electric. He's out there. He's putting in 110 effort all the time, and you love to see that from a young player, especially with where the Giants franchise currently is, where they're trying to find that new core of players. So when you're talking about all these guys that could have been in consideration, that's on primarily obviously Logan Webb is the starting pitcher, but primarily on the hitter side, right? But also going into the bullpen. I mean, Ryan Walker, he's someone that Sandra was talking about earlier when we were talking about the Giants and who kind of stood out. And Ryan Walker really softened the blow of what would eventually happen with Camilo Doval. He came in there and he was nails ever since he took over that role for the back end of that bullpen to be the closer and to be just the reliability that the Giants desperately needed at that time in the season. So when you start hearing about all these guys that were up for consideration and who could have definitely have won a Willie Mack award, did ultimately fall to Matt Chapman, and you love to see that. But the fact that you're having multiple conversations in that all these guys could have won it, I think that is something that you can look forward to going into the 2025 season. So the Willie Mack Award winner, Matt Chapman, he is in the lineup once again, Mr. Reliable. I mean, this guy is always in the lineup, always at third base. And he started in 152 games of the 160 that has been played. So you love to see that with Matt Chapman. And he spoke. We're going to hear from him coming up here with accepting the Willie Mack Award before Friday's game. And here's Matt Chapman accepting that prestigious award for the San Francisco Giants.
I just want to say thank you to all my teammates, to all my coaches for making this possible. And, it means a lot that they voted on this and, that they feel this way about me. And I'm just honored to accept this award. To be in the kind of company that has won this award is truly special. I want to thank the fans for showing up for us. I know this season didn't end the way that we wanted it to, but we're building here and we're going to finish strong, and next year we're going to start something and we're not going to stop. And I appreciate all your guys' support. So thank you to everybody who made this possible. I love you guys. Love my teammates, my coaches. Thank you to the Giants organization. And I just feel extremely blessed and honored to be a part of this organization for a long time.
You love to hear that from Matt Chapman, and you can't help but feel that there is a little bit of optimism going into next year. When you have someone on this team that is committed to success, and you know that pitchers, that other players, as far as free agents who aren't currently on this roster, they gravitate towards a Matt Chapman, and we'll talk about that with Carlos Ramirez coming up here in just a little bit. But Matt Chapman, you just love to see the leadership because it is there with Logan Webb, but you just love to see that from a position player, and especially with all of the young position players that the Giants have, for them to be guided in the right way. He is the perfect fit for this organization. Bob Melvin also spoke, I believe this was after the game, in post-game, talking about his guy, Matt Chapman. He hand-selected him. He came in. They were attached to the hip. They have a father-son relationship. You love to see that from their days back in Oakland. And he wanted him. And Matt Chapman wanted to play with him coming into this season, and that's why he's sticking around for the next 6 years with that extension. So Bob Melvin talks about his guy, Matt Chapman, receiving the Willie Mack Award.
Yeah, that's a really cool award. I mean, every team gives out some sort of a version of these type of things, but the Willie Mack Award is you can just see the guys that have won it before. Guys come back. I mean, even guys like Larry Herndon. So it's a prestigious award here, and you got to feel pretty good about it, about winning that. And I know that was the case with Chapman. His parents came out for it. You know, they're part of the on-field, and then took the lineup card out with them. This is one that you know, everybody in the dugout comes out for. It's a special award, so it was really cool and obviously well deserved.
Well deserved indeed. Again, you see Matt Chapman and what he's done on the field, just leading almost every category for the San Francisco Giants. You love to see that. He is the leader, and just to see that the clubhouse, the coaches, the fans, they all gravitate towards Matt Chapman as well. So we will continue this conversation. We do have a Giants game. We're not just recapping the season. We do have a Giants game today. Game 2, the Giants lost last night, which means they need to win out. They have to win tonight or today and tomorrow to finish 500. How important is that? And we will speak with Carlos Ramirez of NBC Sports Bay Area on the other side. We are live from 58 Social. We are live on YouTube and Twitch. The conversation continues there, but coming up next, Carlos Ramirez from NBC Sports Bay Area. You're listening to the Giants Warmup Show on KNBR 104.5 and 680, the sports leader.
While Bob Melvin preps the men in orange and black, we'll prep you for today's ball game as our Giants warm-up continues on the Sports Leader.
All right, welcome back to the Giants warm-up show. We are live here at 58 Social, also on YouTube and Twitch. And we were talking a great deal about Matt Chapman earlier, so let's go ahead and make him the Key Player of the Week, sponsored by Key Point Credit Union, Next Generation Banking. He won the Willie Mack Award, and that's why he is the Key Player of the Week. We will continue that conversation on Matt Chapman with our next guest, Carlos Ramirez of NBC Sports Bay Area. And I would like to welcome Carlos to the show. What's up, Carlos, and how you doing today, man?
Walter, thank you so much for the kind words and for having me again. I appreciate it. I'm doing good.
Yeah, man, we're getting to the end here. I know you transitioned into football like immediately. You're doing a little bit of double duty, but it's hard to believe that 162 it's coming to an end.
It is. It is. It's been a weird year for the Giants in many reasons. I think there's some positives. I don't think everything's negative. I think the word disappointment can be applied. But if we look through the season with just kind of scout everything and go through it with a fine-tooth comb, we're going to find, I believe, more positive things than negative ones. And if you want to be an optimist, I mean, if you just want to say, no, the season is a failure because the Giants are going to make the playoffs, you're entitled to, and you wouldn't be wrong. But I just like to look at things from a different perspective and be more uplifting and positive than just, a drag and just, let's burn everything to the ground and start over.
Yeah, it's definitely a season that, if you're looking at the wins percentage and everything like that, then yes, it would be a disappointment. They tried to get into the postseason, but they just didn't do that. But just between the lines and everything within that, and everyone that has kind of shown out and shown what they can potentially be down the stretch. I mean, we'll talk about those guys, Hayden Birdsong and maybe even a Landon Roop and Elliot Ramos, Tyler Fitzgerald. I mean, the list goes on. So there's a lot to pull away from this season that, they won't be in the postseason, but there is a bright future, I feel, with a lot of the young guys in this team. But, one of the storylines that, before we get into all the young pieces moving forward, one of the storylines of this season was Matt Chapman, man. I mean, he has been incredible from the beginning to the end, and he just embodies what it means to be a San Francisco Giant.
If you want to go from an untangible angle, he was one of the captains of the team by his behavior alone, by his leadership both on and out the field. For a guy to have that level of impact, Walter, just being here for his first season, and I think you said it when he announced the extension, it feels longer. It felt like he's been here for longer. Maybe it's just because his relationship with the Bay Area dates back to his Oakland days, but he never felt like a guy who just landed with the orange and black this season. And if you go from a numbers perspective, he might very well have been the best or second best third baseman in the game, the best in the National League or the second best behind Jose Ramirez. So if you go by metrics like WAR, he had a 5. At the moment of this recording, it's a 5.3 WAR. That's good for 12th best in the league in baseball, not just the National League, but all of baseball. Ramirez had a 6.3. So that is top 15 stuff. That will get you all-star games. That's very, very good. So he was the best player this year, no questions asked. So the fact that they got it done is a win for both him, the fan base, who can now rally around a guy who has significant Bay Area ties, who is your everyday, post-everyday third baseman, who can secure your left side of the infield, who can give you productive at-bats, who can give you power. And again, the intangibles that I think are so necessary, Walter, with a young team and a team that is looking forward to more leadership like the one Logan Webb brings, like the one this team lost with Brandon Crawford's departure and with Brandon Belts leaving a couple of years ago. So those are the kind of guys you can rally around and build stuff around more than the stats, which he also provides.
We're talking with Carlos Ramirez of NBC Sports Bay Area, and nicely said, man. I mean, everything that you just said there with Matt Chapman and what he brings to this team and being a leader on and off the field. I mean, that's huge. That's kind of been a void. I mean, we know that Logan Webb has that ability, and I think that he's grown in that aspect in particular to this season where they needed a leader in the clubhouse, and Logan Webb was out there by example, but also, behind the scenes and in the clubhouse. He was someone that a lot of the young guys could look to as a leader. But Matt Chapman doing that every single day, being a position player, I think that it comes a little bit differently from a Matt Chapman. So just everything that he brings to this team. And I think the one thing that is overlooked maybe a little bit is stability. I mean, he's been at the hot corner damn near like 95% of the season. So when you have that and just project that forward into the future as far as what this team can be and being a leader amongst these young guys, you got to love that. But something that was really interesting at his presser when he did get the contract extension was the fact that he's heard from other players that oh, you're going to be there, like I want to come play with you, so it's like kind of that intangible that comes along with Matt Chapman. Do you foresee anything happening this offseason? I know we're wrapping up the season here, but I just want to, since we're talking about Matt Chapman, do you foresee like him having any type of gravitational pull and bringing in some potential free agent bats or even pitchers for that matter? Because like Logan Webb and Blake Snell, it's well documented that they have said that they love pitching on the mound when Matt Chapman is behind them.
Well, that's a great question, and I think it all depends. I think the move that will either determine or entice or, turn off players to come here in the first place has to happen with the front office. And we don't know, again, at this point, we don't know, because there might be more players enticed or, again, deterred from coming here, Walter, because of who is running the team from the office. Mm-hmm. And that might be the case if Farhan stays, or it might be the case if they find someone else and they pivot and go in a different direction. More so than Matt Chapman. But again, that's just my take. But sure, let's say you're a pitcher. Let's say you're Corbin Burns, right? And you're finding a place. Your last options come down to quality of living and stadium that is beneficial to your stats along the way. And that has also to do with who's behind you. Who doesn't want to play with the best defensive third baseman in the game behind you 150 plus games a year? I mean, that only benefits your stats, your ERA, your capacity to win baseball games. So if you're Blake Snell, right? If you're a ground ball inducing pitcher, why wouldn't you want to play in front of a guy who is a platinum glove winning third baseman, a multi-gold glove winning third baseman? It just makes sense. So, yes, I think he will be a factor. He has been very open about recruiting guys, about being the face of this team in the area of recruitment, which is really nice. So, yes, to your question, I think it's a long-winded way of saying, yeah, I think he will have an impact. I just don't think it will be the main impact in terms of free agents deciding to come here or just forgo this area of the country and go somewhere else.
We're talking with Carlos Ramirez of NBC Sports Bay Area, and you brought up Blake Snell, right? I mean, that's going to be the next topic of conversation in that he has pitched well down the stretch. I mean, he's pitched to the back of his baseball card, right? I mean, there was a lot of speculation at the beginning of the season, not really speculation, but, with the injuries, he was not ready coming out of spring training and signing late, and the effects showed, right? So once he started to get right and you started to see him come back from that second stint on the IL in early July, he was just on a tear, and he has pitched phenomenal. You love to see him go out there every fifth day, and you would hope that it would stay with the orange and black, but the reality of it is that there are tons of teams that are potential suitors for Blake Snell. But where would you put as far as the hierarchy of needs for the Giants moving into the offseason? Where would you rank Blake Snell as far as the need to have him back on this roster in 2025?
That's such a great question, because I think you have to look at this from different angles. One is team need. And the team they need a bit of everything, right? They need hitting. I think that's the biggest thing they need. They need more athleticism. They need to be a more athletic baseball team. We've been talking about this for years now. I think they're more athletic now once Jung Hoo Lee is back, once with Ramos established, whether it's left field or right field, with Fitzgerald. They are now a more athletic baseball team. I think they need more of that, right? So the question is, where do we rank the priorities of him being back now that Chapman is signed long term? And the other way to look at this, Walter, is who else is available, right? And I think there are two names that everyone will be fighting for, maybe three. But if you force me to make a top three of pitching free agents in this upcoming market, I can give you three names that I think everyone in different stages perhaps will go salivate over and fight over. And those are Blake Snell, assuming he will opt out, and I'm assuming he will opt out, and he will go into his age 32 season. I think that's number one. Then Max Fried, who is an unrestricted free agent, entering his age 31 season. I think he is number two. And I'm assuming Walker Buehler will sign back with the Dodgers. He is a free agent. He's an unrestricted free agent. I'm assuming he's going to go back to the Dodgers. I might be wrong, but I'm just assuming that. And number three is Corbin Burnes, who is entering his age 30 season. So by just going through age, I think Burnes is the youngest one, then Fried, and then Snell. I think the Giants, Walter, need to sign one of those three. I would prefer Snell because if it's on the shorter end, just based on familiarity, he's pitched here before. He has done well against National League West opponents. He is a West Coast guy. He is from Seattle, so he would be close to home. I don't think Seattle needs Snell. I think every team would like to have him. I don't think every team needs Blake Snell. I think the Seattle problem is hitting, not pitching. They have enough starting pitching, so maybe they're not going to throw their hat into the Blake Snell conversation. So I think it's their number one priority now of the guys they have inside the building. Let's put it that way. Of the guys they currently have, that's their number one priority. If they can't have Snell, though, is it the end of the world? They have Webb under contract. They have Robbie Ray, who I assume is going to come back. They have Jordan Hicks. They have Hayden Birdsong. They have Mason Black. They have Kyle Harrison. We don't know what other players are. We don't know what other names. Carson Wisenhunt. What we have no idea. But they do need that second guy in their rotation. So if they swing and miss on Snell, they better land either Fried or Corbin Burnes. I just don't know that they're not inclined to. This administration, Walter, is not inclined to dishing out the long-term, 6+ years of high-end attachment to a pitcher, which, in true honesty, haven't been that productive to any team that I can recall.
Yeah, it'll be definitely an interesting watch to see how the Giants navigate that and with the needs of Blake Snell. But you hit it there right on the head. I mean, you look at if Blake Snell was not to return to the Orange and Black next year, you look at what else they have, right? And you mentioned there, you got Mason Black, you have Tristan Beck down in the system, you have Lennon Roop, who has looked really good down the stretch of the season. Hayden Birdsong has been a big surprise. So they have the arms, right? They have the arm talent. It's just, none of them at this current moment would be what Blake Snell would bring to you. But I don't necessarily know if that's a bad thing, right? If we could develop these arms and have an arsenal like they did in the early 2010s, right? And build within the farm system, because the Giants have done that well. I think that their arms have developed well. It's just the hitting side of things, right? That's where they lack. And when you project forward into the offseason, I feel like that would be an area of need or an area to be addressed. But so we're talking about what they can need, but what do they have currently? I mean, we were talking a little bit earlier with the young players that they have currently on this roster, and a lot of guys on the position player side, actually, with Grant McCray and showcasing his speed, and Tyler Fitzgerald and Elliot Ramos. I mean, of that crop of these new potential players for the Giants moving forward, who would you feel the most comfortable moving into the future as a part of this core that the Giants are trying to develop right now?
Well, another great question. I think let's go pitching. I think Webb's established, so that's out of the window. I mean, he's 27. I feel very comfortable with Kyle Harrison's direction. Mm-hmm. He's just 22, and he is. I think he's trending in the right direction. Even though his ERA went up from last season to this season, I think it's marginal because of the amount of workload he had. He had 34 2/3 innings pitched last year. He bumped up to 124 1/3 this year. He went from 7 starts in the major league level to 24. His strikeout to walk ratio was significantly better from last year to this year, right? At least in the bulk, in the volume, because he went strikeout to walk 3.1 last year to 2.8 this year, which is lower. But since he pitched more, I think you have to, again, go through that with a fine-tooth comb. His ERA plus went down. His fielder independent pitching went up. His whip went up. But I think that is to be expected when his workload goes up. There's more tape on him. So I think even though some numbers went up, I look more at the workload. I think that the fact that he was healthy the whole year, even though he was shut down towards the end, I think there was had to do more with the workload than his actual health. I think he's trending in the right direction. So I think you can trust him and rely on him. I would say the same for Hayden Birdsong. His 4.66 ERA is something that you just have to take with a grain of salt. 15 starts is a good number. His strikeout to walk ratio, you would like to be better, 1.93 strikeouts to walk ratio. The ERA plus 83. Again, those are numbers that you want to take with a grain of salt and just not set any alarms over just one year. He's 22, first season in the big leagues in a team that had a lot of issues. I think he's for sure someone you want to build around. I was really encouraged with Jordan Hicks' first half of the season, Walter. Mm-hmm. This is a guy who was a reliever turned starter, and the first half of this guy's season was really, really good. For a while there, he was their best starter in the season when Blake Snell had issues and Robbie Ray wasn't healthy yet and Logan Webb was up and down. You can make a clear distinction. You can see when he started going south, and that's when he started getting tired. You can make a cut on June 22nd. Before June 22nd, his ERA was 2.82. His ERA went above 2 on May 8th. So he was pretty much unhittable for the first 7 starts he made this season. Then he was really good from start 8 to start 13. And then it started going down. I mean, the number went up, his production went down to 3.90 and then 4.10. And then that's when he went to the bullpen. He went to the bullpen on July 28th. So his final start was July 23rd. And again, for a guy making his first major league season as a starter, I think that is very encouraging. Mm-hmm. His body will have to adapt. His workload will go up. They see him as a starter, and they should, because his numbers when he was healthy were very, very good. So you have 3, and he is only entering his age 28, because he just turned 28 September 6th. So he will be 28 when the season starts. So those are 3 young, so Hicks, Webb, Birdsong, and Harrison are 4 guys who are under 28 or 28, were young, strong, and only getting better. Those to me are 4 building blocks, healthy competitive building blocks to your rotation. Let's go to the offense. That's more problematic to me. Who's your best hitter? Matt Chapman. Okay, he's 31. I don't think any competitive baseball team that wants to realistically go into the postseason or fight for a chance to get into the postseason, Walter, can say that Matt Chapman is their best hitter. Matt Chapman shouldn't be the best hitter in any team that considers themselves a contender. And that's not throwing shade at Chapman. I just think there are better hitters out there. He can be your third, fourth best hitter, not your best hitter. That's not who he is. He's the best defensive third baseman in the game, hands down, and he is a more than capable hitter, right? But he can't be your aircraft carrier on offense. Is that Elliot Ramos at age 24 entering his age 25 season? He's a building block. But again, I don't think he is your he can't be your best hitter on the team. Not yet. Maybe he explodes in his age 25 season. So to sum it up, I think we've gone through the rotation building blocks, and I think their offense and lineup building blocks should be Matt Chapman entering age 32 season, Elliot Ramos, Jung-Hoo Lee, because that's, I think, the thing that derailed him last year was this year when he got hurt on May 12th. Jung-Hoo Lee, both on defense and offense, and Patrick Bailey behind the dish, and he's got to get his second half sorted out. We've seen two back-to-back seasons of him going off the rails in the second half of the season. That can't happen again. Those are your four offense/defense building blocks, because I don't know, we know, or the Giants know, what they truly have with Fitzgerald, with Wisely, with McCray, and other hitters. And I think just that would be my long-winded answer.
Beautifully said there, Carlos, and thank you so much for the time, man. We had a fantastic conversation, and I'm sure we'll continue these in the future, man. I look forward to next baseball season, and we don't have to wait until baseball season. We can just keep talking. I'll just call you. We'll have a conversation.
Thank you, Walter, and congrats on your first season hosting the show. You've done a great job. You've made our communities proud, both inside the booth, outside of it, just hosting and producing. You should be proud of your first season doing this on KNBR. It's not a small task. You should be very proud of what you've done. I know I am for you. I'm proud to be your friend, and I've loved every single one of our conversations and looking forward to it again in 2025.
Thank you for the kind words, Carlos Ramirez. And that was Carlos Ramirez from NBC Sports Bay Area. And we are wrapping up here on the other side. We are live from 58 Social. It is a beautiful day for baseball, the final Saturday game of the season. So come on down and watch your Giants take on the Cardinals. We will continue the conversation on the other side. You're listening to the Giants Warmup Show on KNBR 104.5 and 680, the sports leader.
It's almost time for hot dogs, peanuts, cold beers, and orange and black baseball. Our Giants warm-up rolls on the Sports Leader.
All right, welcome back to the Giants warm-up show. The official pregame show will be starting in about 5 minutes here, so let's wrap things up. We are live here at 58 Social. Beautiful day for baseball, the final Saturday game of the year. Giants and the Cardinals. Give you a lineup here shortly, but let's go ahead and give you a standings update sponsored by Alameda County Probation Department. Join acpd.org for a career that matters. And when you look at all of the races going down the stretch of the season, a lot of it is locked up, but the National League wild card is very interesting. I mean, you have the Padres who are in there 92 and 68, but that's about it. You have 3 other teams that are fighting for those 2 wild card spots. The Braves and the Mets currently ahead of the Diamondbacks. Diamondbacks need to win out and hope for some help from the other teams. But what makes it interesting is that there is a doubleheader on Monday after the season concludes between those 2 teams, between the Braves and the Mets. So it's going to be really interesting to see that go down to the wire. The Giants and the Cardinals coming up next. We're going to speak with Joe Rizzo from the booth. You're listening to KNBR 104.5 and 680, the Sports Leader.